선생님 신났습니다.
제카
배웠어요.
제카가 그어버립니다.
아니 미친 거 아니에요 제카?
생명.
한화생명의 전차가 진영 자체를 그냥 박살을 내고 있어요.
하나생명이 신난다.
하나생명만 나왔습니다. 에이스.
이미 기지는 전차 군단이 밑작업 다 해놨어요.
아니 하나생명 우레지 전차 허리 돌리기 뭔가요?
퍼즈가 와 광동 프릭스 이거 대진 어렵지 않냐? 지는 거예요? 아니요 이깁니다.
광동이 플레이오프 이거 풀갑니다.
이게 누구야? 이게 불이야.
방금 불때 이거 집어삼키고 있습니다.
밀려옵니다. 대왕 광동.
자, 이제 진격할 타이밍입니다.
네, 11번. 감사합니다. 에너지! 네, 감사합니다.
광동 플레이오프 화이팅! 하나생명 화이팅! 하나생명 화이팅!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Uribank LCK 2024 Spring Playoffs. I'm Atlas, and I'm joined by Orcs as we're ready to dive into Round 1. This is possibly going to be the more one-sided, but definitely the one with the most chance of an upset.
You know, we did see upsets in this position last time round. It's definitely a dangerous spot to be in.
Oh, yeah.
We're not at double elimination yet. Life Esports expected to go through, but there's always a chance that they could just lose here. Once you do the double elim, if you get upset, you have that buffer zone.
Yeah, you'd actually, once you're upset, if you get upset, you're not as upset. Now, ultimate amount of upset, as Quantum Freaks could certainly be that blue shell. Let's have a look at the standings and really see how dire it is for the Kwandong Freaks, because of course 7-11 isn't a great scoreline, and Life Esports 15-3, exactly the same as that of T1, but the game score was different. Of course, +5 for T1, putting them in firm second place. But a 15-3 team being in third place is actually kind of nutty.
Yeah, I mean, they've really just been on the tail of T1 for this whole time. There was that moment where I was like, there's a possibility they make it over. Didn't quite come to fruition, but they have beaten T1 as well. So I feel like there is a big separation of the top three and the next three when it comes to playoffs. And obviously, you can see the bracket. That KDF vs D+ series, I think, without doubt, is going to be the closer one in round one. But that's the question. Quandong Freaks have been a team who've shown such a variation of form over the course of the season. And realistically, we could have seen them not even be in this position if they continued that trajectory. They could have been on the other series. They could have been not picked up, but it's kind of that mid-season sort of collapse. They did manage to bounce back from it, but definitely not the best form we've seen from them over the course of the split.
Yep, and if you want to hear our thoughts on that, of course, the most recent Pog State episode is up, and we go over all of the playoffs. And we also dole out a few awards, we could say. Happy welcome back to Azir. Azir is now re-enabled just in time for playoffs.
Sometimes we have champions disabled, and it's like, it might have
have
a little impact on the patch, but this one is had such a massive difference in freeing up the mid pool. Kind of crazy to see how things will change with him being returned, and that is us on patch 14.6.
Yep.
A lot of changes that have come in. Some of these that we're seeing in front of us are pretty minor. The big one for me is Smolder. Kind of got a little bit gutted. His win rate on solo queue dropped by like 4-5%. So I don't think we'll see much Smolder at all anymore. Maybe he'll show up, but like his execute no longer scales with stacks. His W is smaller radius, harder to hit people with. His E is slower. Like, he should just kind of be dead now.
Should be. Let's have a look at some of the buffs, though. I think where our eyes are kind of drawn to the more tanky champions on this list.
Yeah, I think Sion in particular, the health ratio on his shield went from 12% at max rank to 16%. Some solid buffs for him. I don't know if it'll be enough to bring him back, but if we do see him, this is really going to be why, because that's a pretty major buff to his durability in the later stages of the game.
Yep, and that's why you have to buff Cho'Gath as well, because Cho'Gath can then eat him. The nerfs already went over. The Smolder nerf. Senna really only affects the farming version, right?
Yeah, which we've not seen at all.
Not
so,
at all.
not really relevant. I think the Karma one is a big talking point. I still think she's playable, but this is really the passive change and her mana cost on a Q. Definitely trying to make it not such a solid mid lane pick with the early pressure. So I'll be interested to see how much impact that has, but especially with Azir returning as well, the mid pool is going to be shaken up quite a bit.
Yes, I could imagine. This is the biggest part of the entire patch, though. This is the item adjustments. Of course, you can't build Doran's items if you have either the jungle starting item or the support starting item. But that isn't the main one. It is the fact that we've got some 80 carry buffs for our completed items and sort of the legendary items being nerfed sometimes pretty heftily.
Yeah, quite a few that also to touch on. So this is the crit changes. We saw IE buffed. So 10% more crit damage, kind of a return to that old IE we knew.
Yep.
So that's pretty strong. The Woori got a bit of extra AD, and both the pen items got more armor pens. So crit marksman, we kind of struggling. We've seen more of like the lethality picks, but especially with how strong Shiv is, a lot of them looking to come back, and this one is huge. So basically, all these items you see on your screen have been changed quite substantially. For example, Fiendish Codex, one of the big ones, has gone from 35 AP to 25. So basically, when you have these components in your inventory before you get to your full item completion, you're going to be a lot weaker. Not going to have nearly as much power, so it's hard to scope out how this will change things, but it's definitely going to make an impact.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I misspoke, of course. I meant epic items, not legendary items. Just sometimes the initial word does escape me, but that is absolutely fine. This is, yeah, going to change things a lot, and I think that there are certain players that are better at playing around this than other ones. We have one of our best actually in this series that we're going to be covering today, as Viper is often known for purchasing items purely so that he can hit the biggest spike possible if a fight is imminent, right? So
You're going to be more motivated to do
yeah, right. But now let's get into our first matchup. This is our first best of 5 of the playoffs. Life Esports in a great position, and Quandong Freaks with a blue shell in hand, seeing whether they can throw that one out, because it has been a long time. What was it? 2022 spring was the last time that the Quandong Freaks were in playoffs.
Yeah, quite a while. And I think, you know, we've seen Life Esports bomb out in the first round before, but this lineup with the carries that they have with this trio from Gen G, they look to be in very good form to carry through. And yeah, not a great result, Quandong Freaks up against Life Esports. Definitely a hard matchup.
It's getting better.
They got a game.
Yeah.
They're progressing.
Yeah, and judging by this graph, we'll have to just see how exponential it is, right? Because this could be the strong ramp, you know, but I guess the next one kind of does have to be 3-2. But we'll see. We'll see. The bot matchup that will determine the game. Yeah, I think that might be the case. I think there are arguments for the jungle matchup as well, as Cuz has been a fantastic carry, and both of these junglers do really love the Poppy, but this one also very important.
Yeah, especially the crit item changes. You know, Jinx, I think, is one of the big winners of the patch. And I think if you get a Jinx to 3 items, especially if it's like Viper playing it, I think the game is just won.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other way to spin it. Bull typically has been a more aggressive early AD carry player, so perhaps it's going to be Viper leaning onto the crit AD carries to be stronger later, and Bull trying to punish early and come out with a strong laning phase, which is a big ask. See if that is possible. Some stats, obviously, unsurprisingly favoring Life Esports pretty heavily across the board. That's kind of expected with the standings difference.
No, of course, and Hanwha have just been a whole lot more successful, so it does make some sense. The first Herald percent, I guess, sort of stands out here, having the first place in the entire league, but we've seen Herald be just not really all that useful. Let's have a look at predictions, though, and see exactly what you guys think at home, as well as what we think. As, yeah, this is unsurprising. I would expect a few extra 3-0s, Pony giving the 1 extra game, and us on the global side, we just don't think that Quandong Freak's going to do any winning at all.
Yeah, Pony and Cloud Temple like, no, I can give them a game because it's pretty good.
Yeah, right.
Everyone else, not so much. Not so much, to be honest.
No, and 23.1% of you guys on Twitter do think that Quandong Freaks do have a chance, and the rest of you are right.
Yeah, and you know, Quandong Freaks fans, there's a decent amount of them. I've seen them, but I think they really had a rough one this season. There were so many of them like, please not again. Please not again, going through what happened last summer. They got here. I think a lot of them are just happy they got here. Getting the next round would obviously be fantastic, but a big ask. But I think a lot of them just happy they avoided the heartache of once again being so likely to make playoffs, and then it was so close to them just not making it here.
And it was almost exactly the same thing.
Man.
Like, looking back at that 90% that we saw, we can have a little bit of a glance here at the Korean side as well. Afrika TV Obviously a little bit further biased, as they are a sponsor of Kwangdong Freaks. But now it is time to hear from the coaches and what they have to say about this match.
하나생명 e스포츠 감독된 최인규입니다. 선수단 전체가 열심히 해줘서 얻은 성적이라서 조금 아쉬운 면도 있고 만족스러운 면도 있는 것 같아요. 광동 프릭스가 플레이오프 다전제 경험이 별로 없는 것도 좀 저희한테 선택의 이유가 됐었고, 뱀픽적으로도 저희가 조금 편할 거라고 생각을 해서 뽑게 됐습니다. 상대 서포터 선수도 신인으로 알고 있고, 그렇기 때문에 저희가 견제해야 될 챔피언이나 이런 것들이 조금 더 적다는 게 다른 팀들에 비해서 광동 프릭스를 상대하는 게 좀 더 쉽지 않을까라고 생각하고 있어요. 경기를 많이 챙겨봤을 때 두두 선수가 약간 캐리력이 되게 높은 점, 그리고 이제 커즈 선수가 좀 노련하게 팀 이제 합을 좀 맞춰주는 그런 부분들이 좀 견제되는 것 같아요. 정규 시즌보다 더 좋은 경기력으로 좀 재밌는 경기들 펼쳐보겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 광동 프릭스에서 감독을 맡고 있는 김대후라고 합니다. 굉장히 오랜만에 플레이오프를 오게 됐는데요. 정말 기쁘고 많이 떨리고 설렙니다. 경계되는 점은 너무 많은데, 그냥 그래도 이제 바텀이 하나가 굉장히 강하기 때문에 그 점이 경계가 됩니다. 야심차기라고까지 해야 할지 모르겠는데 나름 오늘 저희가 할 수 있는 선에서 많은 준비를 열심히 한 것 같습니다. 오늘 많이 배워갔으면 좋겠고 이겨서 배웠으면 좋겠습니다. 최대한 이겨보도록 노력하겠습니다. 감사합니다. 파이팅!
It would be better if they were winning, and I think that is indisputable.
Yeah, I think that's a good mindset to have. You know, winning is, generally speaking, seen as the better option.
Yeah.
When competing in League of Legends, but yeah, you know, a bit of talk about the strength of the enemy bot lane. I think I would see the patch and see the create AD carry buffs, and then see my opposing AD carry being Viper and be like,
damn, that's really cool.
That's not great.
Yes. No, I think that the bottom lane is probably where you're going to be a little bit more scared. But now, let's welcome Doran and Humble Life Esports to the stage. Doran going to be making his way out first. Of course, the man has seen a lot of success, especially here domestically in Korea. Now, wearing a different jersey, but hoping to follow that same path.
Yeah, and typically has been pretty clutch when it comes to playoffs. You know, a lot of times going up against opponents where people like, Zeus, better on paper, but then we saw time and time again when it came to finals, Doran just pulling it out of the bag when it came down to it.
See whether he can find similar success. Of course, playoffs is where he is known to thrive. And Dudu going to be his direct opposition. Humble Life Esports, no strangers to this gentleman right here, who did, of course, reside on that team for a very long time, looking to see whether he can challenge them here now.
And I think he's a player they need to be on his A game, because at his best, Dudu is a very formidable top laner, and we've seen that this season, just not consistently. If you bring that back today, I think it's a point where they could really have an edge in this matchup.
Yep, the Dusante, the Dutrox. He has definitely had some carry performances, of course. Dandy highlighting that as well aware of just how good this guy can be. Top side of the map is probably going to be aim of the game for the Kwangdong Freaks. And this guy is looking to see whether he can take some control of it. Peanut, of course, alongside Doran with all of those accolades that we were talking about before, but this man has been around forever. I think we're going to need a bigger lower third to really list all of the things that he's done. So we're just going to stick with this one and just do the most recent.
Yeah, and obviously very formidable in the jungle, and I think the matchup between him and Cuz in the series is going to be a banger, and is going to be, who can get the advantage over each other. We've seen Peanut so good at shutting enemy junglers down, and that's likely what he's going to be hoping to do today.
Yep. Of course, KT versus Genji last season was very, very interesting. We're going to have a rematch of those junglers as we welcome Cuz, the figurehead here for Kwangdong Freaks. He was an absolute monster last year and is continuing to play well, even if the team has had their struggles.
Yeah, and loud cheers for him. Kwangdong Freaks knowing this guy really has been their star player. Their successes getting to playoffs, I really think, came off the back of Cuz. And
oh yeah,
a lot of people surprised he ended up on Kwangdong Freaks after such a strong performance last split, but I really think he's brought a lot of his strengths into this team.
Yeah, and I hope that teams that were considering him, that didn't actually pick him up, are now pretty upset because, of course, I think that him missing out on the first round definitely isn't what we were expecting. Zeka, though, he's going to make his way out. A man who has found some recent form on champions not known as Akali and Yone. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been a weird one because he's definitely moved more towards his OG picks, but then we had that really good Talia game from him. The thing is, new patch, Azir back, Calm and If, the meta is going to shift up in the mid lane, and that's always a big question with Zeka. On his best champ, he is insanely good, but the meta is also always a bit of a question mark when it comes to how he'll perform.
And his direct opposition is Bulldog. There is one dragon that escaped the nerf bat out of the dragons that have been played previously, and Asol is one of them. And we'll see whether Bulldog is going to be back on his favorite dragon once again.
I don't think you could get two mid laners who are more opposite from each other. You have Bulldog who's playing things like Aurelion Sol, Quay, those sort of scaling
long-range finesse mages.
Yeah, and then Zeka's I will just kill you on Akali and Yone. It's very opposing ideologies, so it'll be interesting to see how they end up clashing, and the priorities coming in the draft as well.
And here is the main character, arguably, of Humble Life Esports. Viper has been probably our most consistent AD carry this season. He has been just so good. He's looking to see whether he can make a quick 3-0 out of this by taking over the bottom.
Yep, got second team for the All-Pro, and a lot of people on the global side, me included, put him first.
Me too. Yeah, much to a lot of people being quite upset in Twitter DMs, let's just say that. But I stand by all my choices.
Yeah, Viper had a really good season so far, I feel like, and we've talked about it, the AD carry changes. I think he's going to, not just in this series, but the whole playoffs, be a force to be reckoned with.
And this is the guy that has to contend with him. Bull, he is full of charisma. Not necessarily full of success, but he has definitely got the mindset for stealing away victories here and there. And if he does have the confidence today, we might see similar story to what we saw on his debut.
Yeah, and you gotta remember, him coming in was such a big difference maker to this team. Obviously, that trajectory didn't follow through for the rest of the season, but we saw him make a big difference. Very confident player. You can see him being vocal whenever they win, getting very hyped. And on his champs, when he's able to take over the lane, that's really where we've seen him be the best style of himself.
And now to welcome Delight, right-hand man to Viper there towards the bottom side of the map, and has found some amazing success himself. I think that Delight does have a bit on his plate to kind of prove that he deserves that third team, which I think he absolutely does.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy the fact that our third place team has Viper Delight bot lane.
Yeah.
Just when you think about it, it's such a stacked duo, and we've seen them really deliver it in tandem, especially when it comes to team fights. I think both these two are just excellent team fighters, Viper and Delight, so such a strong combo.
And the very new member of Kwangdong Freaks, of course, Andal, not going to be playing today, and Quantum is back once again. But we saw his synergy with Bull, especially off the Rift, looking absolutely fantastic, and we'll see whether they can continue that forward here today. But so much on Quantum's plate here as such a new player.
Yeah, and we aren't privy to the scrim information, but we know that they trusted Quantum at the end of the season when they needed a clutch to get in the playoffs.
I don't know what that means.
I'm not sure either, but
I like it.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to write super cracked, and then
he ran out of space.
Yeah, ran out of space.
Yeah. We're gonna go with that. That feels like the more safer broadcast version of that one. As there is Humble Life Esports, they will take a bow first and take their seats. So many of these players know so much about success here in the LCK and abroad. In, of course, Zeka's case.
Yeah, I mean, you have the three members of Gen.G who've won so many titles, and then 2 world champions.
Yeah.
They're going up against Kwangdong Freaks, who don't have that same track record, but are very much just happy to be here.
Yeah. Viper, of course. I'm just mentioning Zeka that he won the world final, and I cast Viper winning his a few years ago. And so definitely, yeah, a lot of those to talk about, but on the side of the Kwangdong Freaks, less accolades and more hopes and dreams for this squad, as Bull Yeah, this is going to be the uphill battle that we were talking about. Highest KDA, highest DPM, and not the highest damage percent, which is like, it really shows just how much damage Zeka does.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely, especially when Zeka's had some games with some high damage picks coming out. I do think with Bull, part of it is, you know, they had a lot of games where we're seeing stuff like the Aurelion Sol Quay, which obviously just become numbers. But also look at the point picks. Kalista Varus, really these early pressure picks are the ones that I think stand out for this player, making things happen, finding that early momentum, shutting down your opponent. And, you know, definitely it is an underdog angle for Quantum Freaks, but we've seen, like, when you're fresh on a new patch, first series, that was when Gen G lost on regular season to KT.
Absolutely.
Because KT had a better read. And that kind of has to be the hope for Quantum Freaks, that you've had better results in your scrims, you've managed to work out what's meta sooner than your opponent, and you can bring that out on the day before Honor Life Esports have time to react for it. You know, it's a big ask, but that's the hope.
Yeah, we'll see whether they have found the adaptation. And also, I mean, this is CVMAX's territory, right? Like, it's a fresh patch. That's when he jumps straight into the kitchen and comes out with something that we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes it smells great in there, and other times it's a little suspicious.
Yeah, but you know, even if it ends up looking a little bit suspicious, I'd rather they just kind of try some stuff that might seem a bit wacky, but can throw. I think if you just play standard, boring, what was good in the last patch, I think it's really going to be difficult.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I think
you have to shake things up a bit.
Yeah, unless you really change the playing field, I think we know that Humble Life Esports are equipped to take down Quantum Freak. So as many wrenches, as many curveballs as they can possibly find need to be thrown into the works here, and there is no better man for the job, I don't think. I think CVMAX has definitely come up with some crazy stuff, for better or worse. But I think that if they had anyone else at the helm, I would feel less confident that they'd be able to achieve an upset, because something really needs to change when it comes to the playing field, the stakes, like how you set it up. Because on paper, it's just looking real rough here for Quantum Freaks. First ban going to be the Viego. This has been very popular against the Quantum Freaks because Cuz is too good at it.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, if I'm Honor Life Esports, I'm pretty confident in my bot side of the map. Mid-bot lane, you're pretty happy. But I think Dudu and Cuz are such a formidable top jungle that is the sort of area of the map I think you give the most contest to this side of Honor Life Esports. You know, on their best day, I think Dudu Cuz can match up well on Tina Doran. So target the Viego early on. We see some bot lane bans. Senna, you know, we don't see farming Senna, so it's no surprise it's going to be banned out. We see the Ashe and the Varus banned. Kalista left open, which is a big pick for Bull, but we could just see Honor Life Esports take it themselves.
And do Honor Life Esports think that the Jinx buffs, or at least the item buffs buffing Jinx, is going to help them against a Kalista? They could theoretically just lock that one away if it is as powerful as we may think, but instead, there's a tree. Peanut is 9-0 on this champion? As there's the Rek'Sai. All right, Rek'Sai Sejuani. The Rek'Sai top lane that we have seen, lose once in the LPL. It's 1-2 in the LEC at the moment.
Very popular in solo queue. This is top lane Rek'Sai. Is going to be jungle Sejuani because really strong skirmishing combo early. So clearly looking to target that top jungle. Basically, the build we've been seeing is a more tank build, regenerating a lot of health from your passive and just being immovable in lane. Honor Life Esports, not even going to give a look towards Jinx, but you know, another creative carry who's benefited from these changes is the Zeri. See what ends up coming out to pair up with that.
Oh man, Zeka, I feel, can kind of play anything.
Yeah, a lot of options. I don't even think they need to necessarily take mid here. Perhaps like if they want to secure a top lane who can match this. And I think Jax, considering how auto-attack based the Rek'Sai is, and being able to stack up the Sejuani passive could make a lot of sense here to pick that one up.
Yeah, and was recently changed as well to make the Q auto-attack based, so there is a little bit more value there. Instead, it's just going to be the Aatrox here for Doran. A whole lot of comfort. And now Bulldog thinking about a pigeon.
Aatrox is a good pick in general, but it feels a little bit risky into this duo. Like, I could definitely see Dudu and Cuz wanting to target that, because your top jungle combo honestly slaps the Maokai Aatrox early. Reduce the Azir. Wow, we've had, literally, it's been re-enabled for like 3 minutes.
Hey, Zeka didn't pick it.
Locked in,
right?
Yeah, true.
It went past one opportunity of being picked.
Wasn't a first pick, crazy. And then immediately targeting the picks that do well into it, which Zeka can play. And here's the thing is that, you obviously think of the Yone, but his recent Taliyah performance was really solid, so potentially even that is worth a ban in this situation. Whereas behind like esports looking towards the bot lane.
I imagine just more AD carries to be taken away. There is the Jinx that we were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, definitely something that you want to get rid of. The range, very powerful, and especially into the Zeri. You know, if Zeri gets on top of it, it can cause issues, but otherwise you're just going to outrange quite hard.
Is it a Caitlyn ban to come through next? As there is the Tristana, of course, one of Zeka's favorites, a good pairing with the Maokai. It makes a fair bit of sense there. But now, one more ban, one more AD carry probably going to leave the field, and it's going to be Lucian.
No, I was thinking like Lucian makes sense, but not so much for Bull. Not really a big pick for him. So they kind of ban it more because it's the matchups you see quite often rather than specifically for Bull. But I still think it makes a decent amount of sense. Now the question's going to be, what does he end up picking here to match up into the Zeri? Likely going to be AD carry here and then saving support for counterpick. It is assumed to be that Maokai jungle. I'm like 90% certain, but it could still technically be a flex.
Theoretically, could be an opportunity here as Kai'Sa going to be locked in. We've got Pre-Seekers and Void Seekers. I'm going to be pretty annoyed.
Yeah, they get a Void buff as a result of that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so pretty strong into these Zeri as well. Definitely, if your team get on top of it, you get the stun proc from like your Sejuani, you can follow up with a lot of power. But seems like we're getting the Alistar from Delight, really formidable in this pick, especially last season. And also, one of the best pairings for Kai'Sa is the Nautilus, and Alistar, pretty solid combo into that.
Oh, Zeka just hovering, one of Bulldog's favorites.
Yeah, I
here.
don't think it's. I don't think I'm gonna see Zeka play Aurelion Sol.
Or is he gonna just play the Kassadin that we saw him just hovering? As this would make me very sad. But back to Corki Azir, and there we go. This is the pick that, for Zeka especially, sparks the least joy.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that Quantum Freak's gonna be pretty happy. We do see the Rakan locked in, generally a decent pick, but struggles a bit in the Maokai because that point-and-click lockdown you can struggle into. But to be honest, if I'm Quantum Freaks, I'm pretty happy with how the draft has sort of panned out. You know, the mid matchup, even though people obviously pick Corki into his ear, I think Bulldog should be fine here. You're not going to be heavily pressured by the Corki. You have a strong top jungle to play through, and then when it comes to team fight, you know, it makes sense. You have the Rakan and the Kai'Sa who can look to punish those backline carries. I do think that if the game does go late and they're not ahead, you know, Corki Maokai is going to be pretty tricky to deal with, just the range and the peel capabilities. But I think they have a win con in a composition. I think they have lanes they can play through, and that's really what you're looking for in this matchup.
No, absolutely. I do think that I like the way Harma Life Esports approach this first game, though. Because I think that in best of fives, especially when it's the very first game of the playoffs, you really do need to try and mitigate as much of the nervousness as possible, and there's no better way to do that than to create a sense of inevitability for your opposition.
Yeah.
Because if the onus isn't on you to make moves and to do things around the map, then you're going to feel a whole lot more comfortable sitting in that chair. And of course, a lot of these players have all the experience ever, so they're probably not too worried about it, but still, does certainly help out as a general rule, and they have it in this one. Quantum Freaks, though, a lot of mid-game power, a lot of team fight power, dive synergy, and we'll see whether they're on the same page to be able to get this one off the ground.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, for game number one of the Woori Bank LCK 2024 Spring Playoffs. It's round one, Harma Life Esports taking on Quandong Freaks. Third place versus sixth. And the Quandong Freaks fans almost blew out my eardrums. They are losing their minds here at Lord Park today.
Yeah, they're just hyped to be here. You know, it's crazy that we went through this trajectory of like 97% the outcomes where they'd make it to, oh my god, they're actually going to not make it again, to them actually making it in the end. It's been a roller coaster. Obviously, those are pretty popular, but normally for another team in the LCK, but Quantum Freaks making it here and coming out with pretty solid draft. Look at the summoners a little bit. We do see the summoner spellbook from Cuz, so not the Aftershock, not going to be as tanky, but a lot of utility offered there. Something else to note is, you know, I was thinking the range aspect kind of off Harma Life Esports. Perhaps you could combat that by going the more AP-heavy Kai'Sa build, but I think with the damage profile of the comp, you kind of have to go more AD-focused, which is a little bit unfortunate, but still going to be fine.
Especially with Dudu probably going for that more tanky build that doesn't necessarily do that much damage. Getting the burrow off, and Doran just chilling, Probably not feeling too worried that Dudu not being able to find another one of those. Just spending a lot of time on the ground as he possibly can. And just benefiting from the extra amount of regen that you get. So if you want to sort of take people through who may have not seen the LPL or the LEC rec size, what sort of changed? Because it wasn't on the most recent patch, it was on a few patches ago, right?
Yeah, it was like a series of changes that came in that resulted in this position. And it's been quite popular in solo queue. Here he goes just to get some trades down there. But yeah, so basically they try to make him like more bruiser focused. Obviously the leading jungle build for Rek'Sai before the changes was like the lethality assassin pick.
Whoa, that's a long time. Samsung Galaxy QV as well. Whoa, 2015.
Big throwback. But yeah, basically the power of the pick is your Fury, your heal from it scales with your max HP, so you kind of build him tanky, and you just go for very frequent trades. You can see Dudu trading around his graph, just going in, little trade, going in, little trade. And the thing is, he's winning these trades, but even if you lose them, you sustain so much that you just win the attrition game. You're also incredibly hard to gank because of your tunnels. You're incredibly easy to set up ganks. And in the late stage of the game, you now have a return to the old knockup from Rek'Sai. So OG Rek'Sai, you AoE knocked up, and then that was one of the changes that kind of took her out of the meta for pro play, is you would only knock up the target you were hitting or closest to. Now it's back to AoE, so a lot more presence in team fights, and essentially you're pretty potent just being that bulky champ who can really sort of not only be an annoyance to the top lane, but be a threat in the team fights. And you do see him taking some rough trades here, but he should just be able to sustain this back up.
Yep, Dudu just grabs full Rage or Fury. And is just going to nom that up and feel just fine. We saw Cuz make his way over. Was on vision, of course, so Doran knew exactly what was going on. Not going to see too much more. It's a nice little knock-up, though, as the Infernal Chains do connect. Not able to get the knock-up or the sweet spot there on the third Q. So Dudu not going to be chained back, as now Cuz taking a little bit of sapling damage. Quantum moving on up, as it's a battle for the Scuttler that Common Freaks are just going to avoid.
Yeah, bot lane been going pretty good for Honor Esports. They're able to make the move here, despite the position the waves in, but also Viper managed to get a recall and pick up a cull, so...
Oh, damn.
He's pretty happy. Zeka's already got the tier. They are in stack central, and we kind of see what happened in the top lane. Even though Doran was winning those trades pretty hard, he's now down in health, and that is just how the pick works. You just lose the long attrition game.
And now Dudu going to get pulled back by the Infernal Chains this time around, but as you can see, just kind of like hang out. As, all right, if that full combo does connect, then things can get a little bit dangerous. And then it's not. Sort of a bit like a yo-yo, isn't it? The health bar of Rek'Sai. She's just seems to be having a good time. Tunnels out of that one.
Yeah, as long as you're not dying for like a burst all in, you're pretty fine. And obviously, Proc can grasp a fair bit here. Wow. I feel like this was often picked into... Oh, that was a really nice dash there from Viper. Often the Rakan is picked into Talia as well in a lot of these scenarios. Yeah, I feel like this is a better angle, but it's still a rough time for the champion. Yeah, I think there's just a lot of champions in the meta who give him a hard time, because Talia is definitely like the first and foremost, but also like Maokai, it's not fun playing Rakan and a Maokai. True. If you get caught by the ultimate or just by like the point and click route, you can really end up in such a bad spot. Like, I mean, that's Rakan's weakness, is point and click CC. Everything else you can kind of manage, but that is really what he finds the hardest to deal with, and obviously Maokai has plenty of that, so got to be a bit careful in these team fights. And now you see Dudu actually trying to freeze the wave here. This is a good angle to set up for a gank, and it is level 6 for Doran, it's level 6 for Dudu. Yeah, information given over here as Doran kind of given up on here just a little bit by Peanut, who did move away from it. Decides instead he's just going to get out of there, and that is first blood going over to the Rek'Sai top lane. Dudu starting off this game right. Yeah, and I think Peanut made the right call, not even going over, because you just don't win that 2v2. You're just going to die as well. It was really good setup from Dudu. You saw that Doran wanted to push the wave in and reset. He catches the wave. Doran overstays to push it in, and the gank setup is so easy. Like, you saw him, he tunneled behind him, and then had to like walk back to knock up. That's how like easy it is just to set up that play. There was no way Doran was getting out. And all I can say is at least he didn't burn his flash or something silly like that. Yep, it's almost as if Rek'Sai was a jungler. Has great setup for ganks. As Quantum going to find a bit of a grand entrance here as Cuz down towards the bottom lane now, making his presence known all over the place. Delight having to flash. And this is the Cuz that we were expecting, right? This is the guy that has just taken control of the Rift in so many of Quantum Freaks' games. Yeah, and it's a really good start for Quantum Freaks. This is the sort of trajectory they want to have in the game. Looking to pick up an early dragon as well. With it being an ocean, all you can hope is that the second dragon is a Chemtech and you end up slamming a
Have you decided that it's going to be a Chemtech?
That's what I'm going for. But, you know, sometimes I'm not really in control.
You do often call the Chemtech, though. So if you call it, then, I mean, it's got to get in there, as it'll be a Cloud. So unfortunately, I was a bit too focused on the dragons, and therefore the Clouds come up. And yeah, he is going to find it there, as there's no flash on this cow, and I don't think it would have mattered anyway. That is going to be the second kill for the Quantum Freaks this time, going over the ball.
Really good setup, really good angle. Perfect max range ult coming out from Cuz, and they managed to get the kill, paying off from the lack of flash from Delight earlier. And yeah, good early kill on the Kai'Sa. Things all going positively right now for Quantum Freaks.
And it's starting to look like perhaps we overstated the likelihood that Hanwha Life Esports were going to win. Although it is early days.
It is early, but definitely seeing the sort of play that we'd hope to see from Quantum Freaks. Clearly have done a little bit of thinking, done a little bit of scrimming in their time off, and looking to have a good start so far. I think just keeping stacking the dragon is going to be really important here. And we see, I mean, this is a gangster raid. Just to me, it's how Dudu like ends up tunneling so far behind him, he has to like walk back in to knock him up. Like that's how dead he was. Like there was no way of escaping. It's like he could have like tunneled, flash, knock up, and he still would have done. But like he didn't even need to do anything. It was such an easy pickup. And here, just a great angle from Cuz to get that ult in. Obviously pre-6, Alistair very vulnerable.
So you can see Quantum Freaks fans pretty psyched about how things are going so far, but they're going to have to stay vigilant. As Cuz with his Unsealed Spellbook has healed. It's a whole lot of fun. As now Bull taking a lot of damage here. Viper has ulted already. The Grand Entrance, not fantastic here from Quantum, but it doesn't matter. They are still going to be able to stay alive here. Try and farm out these minions under the turret. Still, plate secured by Viper already in this earlier stage of the game. And despite the 2 kills, it's only about a 500 gold difference, although it did just stretch up to 800 as I was saying that. So maybe I need to talk about the gold more if you're a Quantum Freaks fan.
Oh.
Yeah, a little bit of an umbral dash to get out of the way of the tunnel.
Look at the angle. I mean, this is just like, if you look at Dudu's items, like the Ninja Tabi Bramble Vest is just so...
That's a no button.
It's so obnoxious to deal with for this Aatrox. Not a fun situation to be in. You can see Doran playing it very safe here. The wave is going to push into him, so he's pretty okay there. Won't get ganked. Did see Cuz on the ward. But yeah, anytime the wave is in a bad spot, you're just so vulnerable to ganks. So to be honest, the fact that Doran has only died once, he's honestly okay with how the lane has been going. It's just been a very unfun experience.
It has, and he's only a few behind, like we were talking about, so not the end of the world, as he is going to lose out on that trade very heftily.
Yeah, I mean, these trades are going bad before the healing comes in. Yeah. So definitely starting to see some momentum be built up in the top lane. Cuz once again shown a bot. Next dragon in 2 minutes. That will be one that Zeka has packaged for. So,
yeah, Dudu going to be able to grab himself a plate.
Yeah, I think if Quantum Freaks can get the next dragon, that's when they're really in a good spot. You know, that's when they don't have nearly as much threat from like Porky package stacking things up.
Well, Dudu is yeah, like we were saying, losing out on trades, but who cares? Because he's Rek'Sai. Peanut did manage to grab the first 3 bubs. Is here on spawn to collect them again. Cuz moving over. Cuz they do have full information as to what's going on here, and it looks like Peanut will be able to take one of them down at least, and then vacate if he would like to.
If you get one, you're happy. There's no way you want to stick around and contest. As you can see, Zeka actually recalling right now. Interesting time to recall. You would have thought he would leave it a little bit later just so he can get the package. So yeah, he recalls and TPs back in. Not sure what that says about them wanting to fight the dragon, because presumably he's going to have to back again to pick it up before. So just a little bit of an interesting one. We see Cuz only taking the 1 grub. Obviously, the first one each jungler takes gives the bonus XP, so that's why the focus is so much just getting that 1. Not really bothered about getting a second one there. Dragon spawning 55. That's going to be the big one we're looking towards.
Yep, and there are 8 stacks left on this cull for Viper. We'll see how close he is to completing that first item. We mentioned first item completions, and Bull, he has his, which could be really important. I mean, you're going to battle with a Kai'Sa, and you've just got the Kachizi's Shard, and that has been nerfed on this patch. You're probably not too psyched about how fights are potentially going to go, as Peanut does take another Rift Scuttler. 27 seconds like we were talking about. 3 more stacks for this one, so we'll see whether Viper does managed to get all of these minions, does need them. If he does want to cash in that cull and get him a bit closer to a few more items.
Yeah, the timing's a bit rough though, because he's going to have to recall and spend before they can contest this dragon. Zek is still on the map as well, and obviously they'd won his package. I wonder if they're just planning to give this up.
Yeah, I have a feeling that that might be the case. You can see Quantum Freaks, they are going to shove this one out.
Yeah, I mean, they're just in no position to fight this right now. So I think the decision's been made. Just give it up. Hope the soul's not too impactful, but even if it is, they'll be ready and packaged up for the subsequent ones.
Yep, and you know, third dragon's the dream. For a composition like this is kind of how I'm feeling. You want to get your Corki and your Zeri with a couple of items. And thankfully, one of them at least is going to be completed here for Viper, like we were talking about. So Shiv, completed there, does have his Berserker's Greaves as well. And Bull goes back, and he's still ahead. Although, I guess, as far as money's worth is concerned, completed Berserker's somewhat equivalent to that of a pickaxe.
Yeah, I mean, Kraken is like 300 gold more than the Shiv. Obviously, Shiv a pretty big spike. And I think Quantum Life Esports, I think they made the right decision, because I think losing the dragon isn't that big of a deal. Losing the dragon on a fight definitely is. So they're just happy to lean in the late stages of the game. It is a Mountain Soul, though. I think Quantum Freak's definitely high-rolling this one, especially into a Corki, and with a tank top and jungle, going to be very happy with those extra resists, but also the shielding to block some of that poke from the Corki.
Yeah, that is value. Completely absurd, actually, as Viper this time going to get knocked up by Quantum, as Viper is going to zap him, and Delight was there, at least playing backup. 7 CS is going to be the advantage here for Viper at the moment, and I think that we might see that increase given the ease of farming that Viper will have with this static Shiv. Can lead lane, especially once he moves towards the mid lane as well. So the Zeri position in the game going to move closer and closer to a much happier place for Harmon Life Esports as this game goes on. Dudu completes his Sunfire Cape. This has been the build. You can sometimes sneak in a Stride Breaker or something like that for a little bit of damage, but otherwise it's basically just full tank.
Yeah, basically full tank. I've seen people mix in like some bruiser items. Sterex can be quite popular later on, especially just for the AD on it, but generally speaking, it's like an early tank start, and you just kind of become immovable in lane. And again,
nowhere near as fun as the builds in solo queue, though. They are way more fun with Eclipse and the Lance thingy, the Sundered Sky.
Those ones are a bit more wacky.
Yeah, it just feels more fun.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of setup coming towards this Herald now. Quantum Freak's trying to get control of the Banana Brush. What's interesting to me is that Quantum Life Esports didn't opt to even use the package for anything else. They kind of just sat on it. So...
Well, there is Heba Pulverize. It's going to work out better than the Grand Entrance. Peanut was moving in as Rift Herald started up here. Of course, Harmon Life Esports, we know, are big fans of the Rift Herald. They are going to go back to it right now. See whether Quantum Freaks are able to fight this. As you can see, Zeka moving up towards that top side of the map now. And this could be our first fight of the game. There is a Glacial Prison. It's going to connect. You can see the Pulverize. Fantastic disengage here from Delight, who doesn't even have to press his ultimate button, and now Zeka getting in amongst it. This is dangerous positioning, though, as he Valkyries, and that's going to avoid everything. What? That was the highest value Valkyrie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, just dodges away, manages to disengage. A lot of ults burn from the side of Quantum Freaks. I still think they're in a strong spot to contest this.
Yeah, Cuz diving on in. There is the Nature's Grasp now as Bull Killer Instinct. They dive on top of the jungler, and now it is Viper's turn to press his ultimate button. Emperor's Divide is going to land on both of the tankier members, and now Viper is still trying to do damage, but his front line is dead. The double knockup from the newly improved Rek'Sai is going to lock up the kill onto the cow, and Viper sees these low health bars, but they haven't been able to get any kills. Is it now going to be the time? And the answer, I think, is no. Viper at full health, but he still needs to walk away.
They're just not at the point where they can carry right now. You know, Viper sitting on one item. Zeka, he hasn't even got a fully stacked mana mune. It feels like he's not even on a full item himself. Just didn't have the damage in the target selection. The peel back from Quantum Freaks was so good there. Dudu having an absolute monster fight as well. And the thing is, I think Harmon Life Esports, the initial engagement, they played so well. But the follow-up fight, I think they had too much confidence. They're like, ults down from Quantum Freaks, we can take this. But the power just really wasn't there.
Yeah. Dudu really making great use of this Rek'Sai as well.
And it's just heavy commit on a Peanut when the team are split. And you know, Peanut wants to try and disengage people off his backline, but he just gets focused down. The ult from Bulldog is fantastic to disengage. And then seeing a bit more of that value, you know, it's a tank Rek'Sai, very durable, gets the double knockup as well. And sure, they didn't even do anything to Viper. They just didn't need to.
No. And they're able to soak it up as, of course, Dudu very happy to tank for as long as they would like. Now goes back, gets himself another Giant's Belt. And there is Null Magic Mantle as well. Obviously moving towards a Spirit Visage as soon as possible. Feels like it's got a fair bit of synergy with that of Rek'Sai's kit.
That's a big bump in terms of gold. And Dragon spawning in 20 seconds. You actually, despite the fact that that we just had a massive fight, not many summoners were really burned. You know, Delight doesn't have his flash, Yu doesn't have his, everyone else has flashes. So still a lot of summoners available. And the package still an option for Zeki. You can see him recalling for it now.
Yeah.
Giving over third Dragon to Quantum Freaks would be pretty devastating for Honor Life Esports. So I expect we will see them try and set up for this.
Rift Herald
in place. Yeah, this is a pretty nice setup for Quantum Freaks.
Yeah, you can see now Dudu is going to drive Shelly into the turret. Wow, that was some nice drifting, but I don't know whether he's going to be all that okay. Grand Entrance going to stop Peanut here. A little bit of an early fight. So Rift Herald still going to continue doing a fair bit of work, but Zeka with the package is very scary. Extendo Beam connects onto Quantum here as well, and Hummer Life Esports wrestles some control of this river. Looks like they will be able to start off this streak as well. Quantum Freaks probably not going to give this one up without a fight. Bulldog does have the Emperor's Divide and Flash both available. They are stacked up. Sand Soldiers in position. Headbutt pulverized onto Bulldog, and the Glacial Prison goes wide. Dudu trying to get into this pit alongside Cuz. They lock down the Dragon, but these knockups are massive. Emperor's Divide onto everyone but Doran. He slips by, and that is going to be the pickup. The trade is for a Corki for Rakan, and that's going to be Dudu going down as well. What the heck? Never mind, it's not Dudu going down. Doran died, but Dudu, it's impossible to kill this Rek'Sai, I guess.
Look how much damage Viper did, and it just didn't matter. I mean, even he looks so tanky with how big his health bar is, but just the healing that constantly comes in, he's just so hard to kill. And honestly, the fact that Honor Life Esports managed to get the Dragon is touch and go a little bit there. Things could have been so much worse.
Yeah.
They are definitely not good right now.
This is, yeah, I'm starting to believe in the power of this Rek'Sai top lane. That is going to be mid, outer turret taken down as well. Quantum Freaks fans just screaming for every single objective take here today. They are certainly ready for this upset to come through.
You know, I think when the game started, they were kind of cheering a lot because they're like, you know, we may not get that many kills. You got to cheer for everyone, every single one now. Their voice is going to be dead by the end of this game.
Oh, absolutely.
At this rate.
And they've committed. They've hard committed to getting super psyched about everything that's happened. And if this is going to be a victory for Quantum Freaks, then they will certainly be lacking in some voices. This was a massive bouncy castle, and it looked like it went perfectly for the Quantum Freaks. But Doran Umbral dashing to the side and not getting caught, I think actually really helped out Hummer Life Esports here, because it meant that this follow-up onto the less healthy members was not made by anyone other than Dudu.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that was a big difference maker. That immediate impact of the ults, it could have been devastating. But yeah, I mean, look at the damage taken from this Rek'Sai. He could just soak up the damage from this Zeri for such a long time. And you can even see Viper's gone for LGR. He also actually went cut down in his... Oh, wait a second. No, he's out. He also went cut down in his runes because he knew...
All right, there's a quickness. It's not actually going to land onto Zeka, though. Peanut just able to boost on past.
You know, credit to both Delight and Peanut for doing a great job of interrupting the Rakan so far.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just so stupid. And you know, as I was saying, Viper's gone LDR second, and he went cut down. Like, he knew he was going to have to cut through these tanks. And Zeri isn't the best tank shredder. You can see how much he's struggling to cut through this Rek'Sai. Fully itemized into this armor as well, because realistically, the AP threat in the enemy team is a poke champion. And against Rek'Sai,
who cares?
He just he burrows on the ground on full HP. Burrows on the ground on full HP.
Let's have a look at it again. Yeah, burrows underground. Hey, and full HP.
Yeah, it's just the fact you see like one tick of the heal.
Yeah.
Like 200 health. It's very... And he's going for Spirit Visage third, most likely. Very, very...
So you're saying it gets worse?
It gets so much worse. You know, it's not going to get better. I think that at least later on, the carries from Honor Life Esports will hopefully be able to cut through him a bit better. But he definitely feels immortal right now. And this is without picking up a Mountain Dragon. Like, the saving grace this game for Honor Life Esports is that they got that dragon. Otherwise, it really would have been in an awful spot.
Well, who can build a Morellonomicon or a Mortal Reminder or something like that? Like, when are we getting one of those items for Honor Life Esports? I think they might need one. Because even in extended fights, it feels like Dudu is able to get so much done, just burrowing in and out and still keeping himself healthy. So, Hummer Life Gonna walk on over here as the Baron has been started. Good knock-up onto Peanut, but a Glacial Prism once again does go wide. There's a Pulverized Flash, and Quantum is just gonna get eviscerated. There is a nice ulti connecting that snare onto Bulldog, but it's not enough. He finds 3 with the Emperor's Divide. Still, Viper is offering damage back, and now it's Doran's turn to try and be immortal in that front line. Humble Life Esports finding themselves a victory, and Viper wants even more. Bull being chased down. Extendo Beam gets the flash. That is a lot of value here.
And you feel like the terrain worked a little bit against Bulldog because he went for the shuffle. It didn't catch as many people as he wanted. I think Doran got like hit against the wall.
Yeah, he got hit by it, but then sort of nothing happened.
Yeah, you know, very ambitious play and kind of backfired. I feel like what was working for Quantum Freaks was great single target selection, you know, pick a target, kill a target. And Bulldog just got a little bit too aggressive there, ends up sacrificing himself to not that much gain.
Yeah, well, now you've got Cuz making his way back towards that Baron once again. Still slight advantage here for Kwangdong Freaks as Cuz doesn't have his ultimate back up and available again, as of course he did recently throw that one to Narnia. And still in control, still with an avenue to victory, but I think as soon as Humble Life Esports took that Drake, they have felt so much better about the state of this game. And BF Sword now completed as well for Viper. Yeah, we'll see when that third item comes in. That is when he is going to be absolutely terrifying.
Okay.
Package is secured.
Yeah, Zeka recalled, got Package and Malignant, so a pretty big spike here. But there's a lot of people to tank up the Rocket, so definitely a harder game for Corki.
파랑 팀의 포탑이
Yeah. Quantum Freaks do
파괴되었습니다.
back away from the Drake though, as Delight in that front line. Getting into position. There's a Pulverize onto 2. Extendo Beam. Bit of damage onto Cuz, and now Bulldog wrapping around. Delight in so much trouble here as another Glacial Prison is going to come down. This time connecting onto Zeka, but there's no follow-up. Delight going to need to back away from this one. That is so much of their engaged potential now taken down.
Oh, they
And
gave it
Package
up.
will be, delivered to the mid lane, and so therefore, no opportunity here as Dudu just very happy to walk on top of that. Package damage, and his soul point now picked up for Kwangdong Freaks. All of a sudden, tempo moves back in their favor.
Yeah, and Delight goes for the play. You can see that one of the game plans for the side of Humble Life Esports has been target Quantum. He's squishy, easy to blow up, but it just didn't quite work there. No one was in position to follow up, and Quantum Freaks really just turned it around. Setting up now, Dudu trying to find an angle here.
Yeah, Quantum as well on a deep flank. Bull has taken a lot of random damage from the Baron, as has Bulldog. And Bulldog, if he keeps getting hit by these, it's really dangerous. Nature's Grasp does come down. They're looking to target Delight once again. It's a big Pulverize, though, as now right back over the wall goes Dudu, and he's taking out. Oh, what the heck? Okay, well, he is going to fall now as the Void Rush did come through, and it's a double kill for Zeka. Humble Life Esports just so much more control in these team fights, and there's the Valkyrie on top of Bull. No Killer Instinct is going to be enough to get you out of that one, and there is a pentakill on the table here for Zeka if they can corral Cuz and Bulldog underneath this outer turret, and I think they might look for it even though he's exceedingly low. Nope, probably just going to be a full house. Zeka's full of Vipers, unless he can get the 4 of a kind. Zeka comes on over, but no, there's that full house that we're talking about. That is going to be the clean ace for Humble Life Esports, and they can head towards this Baron.
Yeah, and I think this is Humble Life Esports just making the correct decisions. There's 2 Dragon Fights this game that they've turned out. He's okay. 2 Dragon Fights this game they've opted out of because it didn't feel right, and they end up committing to this Baron fight. The setup was there, and more importantly, the itemization had come through. You know, the LDR for Viper, he actually can now shred Dudu. It felt like in the mid game he was just completely immortal, but suddenly he's actually able to cut through the opposing team. This is the replay we're looking at. So Dudu gets completely focused down, and the thing is he doesn't get a chance to heal with. He's above ground the whole time, the passive doesn't do anything, and I believe there's an ignite on him as well that just reduced it. So ultimately, really nice setup there from Humble Life Esports targeting the Rek'Sai on their backline, and then here is just Peanut.
Yeah, and I think as soon as you saw Dudu go back over the wall, they could have had a potential man advantage, but there just wasn't anyone on Quantum Freaks that was ready for him to be in that position, and so they kind of lost their mega tank for almost nothing.
Yeah, and here, making the decision to kill off the 2 remaining members. No chance of a steal coming through, and now Humble Life Esports have that gold lead. It is a potential for Soul in 2 minutes for Quantum Freaks, but this is the time for Humble Life Esports to really start picking up some structures. They're yet to take a tower.
Yeah. And this mid-outer is looking to be there first, although the wave clear is quite large. Seems like they don't have too much trouble there. So, first one is going to be this top outer that Doran will be able to secure.
Yep.
Does have some Void Mites there as well. Not a lot of Void Mite value so far this game with 0 turrets taken. So finally, Doran going to put those Mites to work.
Yeah, and I do want to mention just Viper's also got the IE. We see a lot of Woori
Yeah.
on the Zeri. This is full damage output. This is, I want to cut through these tanks as much as possible. Remember, 5% more armor pen on the LDR. He's going to shred.
Yeah, Nature's Grasp is going to come on through. Tanked up here by Cuz. As Bull and Bulldog will be all right for the moment. Glacial Prison connects onto Delight, but he just straight up doesn't care. Didn't even want to press the ultimate button. As now Quantum looks for that backline. Massive knockouts come through as well. The flank angle is gorgeous. They've taken down the Zeri, but is that going to be enough? Because Zeka is still basically at full health and they're being torn to shreds. It didn't matter. They got their target and there's still a Corki.
Looked like the setup was so good, they managed to kill Viper, but so much is lost in return. The turnaround damage from Doran, the turnaround damage from Zeka decimates Quantum Freaks. Yes, they got Viper, but they paid heavily. And now I think it might just be an end angle. Only Quantum up for 20 seconds. I don't think he can do anything.
Not sure about it. Zeka is very, very strong. They do a lot of structural damage, but maybe they are going to back off after this one. Just look to get a secure on this dragon, because if there is a way that Quantum Freaks do stop them from killing the Nexus, then they get Mountain Soul, and then things become difficult, perhaps.
Not feeling the need to overstep, the scaling really coming in the composition. And we can watch the replay here, so they commit heavily onto Viper here. Managed to go in for him, but it's a great knockup from Delight to stall out the Azir, and then look at the AoE damage in return. Bull ends up danger close, Quantum is super squishy, the team just got honestly annihilated.
I think if Viper wasn't able to press his R button just before he died, then maybe there's a bit of a chance. It looked like that explosion of damage was just gigantic, but still, Doran just being in melee range with everyone. It seems like even though Dudu does seem really, really, really tanky, lethality Aatrox, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, and he also went the Sorelda second, so go in for that percentage pen. They are shredding to the tanks, and now look at Zeka. 4 items completed, got the Void Staff, got level 16 and package.
God.
He's fully online.
Yep. And he's landing a lot of the poke. This is probably one of his best games on Corki we've seen all season. Zeka standing up when it matters most. It's been something that he's known to do. If you guys can remember back a couple of years. As Quantum Freaks, yeah, they know that this is gone. So just a Drake number 2 for Humble Life Esports. Not worth Quantum Freaks losing the game completely over. And the game is in pretty dire straits. This composition from Humble Life only continues to improve with age.
Yep. And even this Rex, ow. That's starting to hit. That wasn't even a big one. That would have been, ooh.
Yeah. Went back to old Zeka for a moment there.
Yeah.
But still, we've got we used to talk about this, but I'm going to have to hold that thought because Nature's Grasp has come over the side. Not exactly a lot of follow-up for it, though. Sand Soldiers do come out. But we used to see this back when Zeri was first released, when she was a poke champion, if you remember. The Corki Zeri combos where Extendo Beam and Rockets just meant that no team was allowed to play the game. Got a little bit of a glimpse at what that would have been like, as Viper is very, very strong at this point in time as well.
Yeah, he's been sitting on this tier. I think he can probably just back. You know, I know we talked about the epic items, and it's like, you know, sitting on components.
So now Viper just goes back to buy completed items.
Yeah, none of those components. They're just. I actually think he might have like a full item here. No, he goes for QSS. I felt like he'd been sitting on the IE for a while, but I guess he wasn't the one picking up all the kills. But regardless, the damage being output by these carries, we can see Bull just hasn't been able to find headway in these fights. You know, he's obviously trying to dive in and hit the key targets, but he struggled to cut through the rest of Humble Life Esports.
And he also has built purely based on hit, right?
Yeah.
It's not anything about like the hybrid builds that we have seen. You mentioned exactly why that would be the case, but it means he has to get up close and personal to do any damage at all. And this composition from Humble Life Esports doesn't really let you go up and close and personal unless they want you to, and that's exactly what Delight's going to do now. As Zeri dashes over the wall, I just feel like Viper gave himself up for that one. Quantum is going to emote, but then he's immediately going to go down. A trade of 80 carries is now Doran. He's looking to get in amongst it. Bulldog Empress divides the air, and that is going to spell the end of this team fight. It is enough to put up a wall and stop Humble Life Esports from getting past. But once again, it is let's target Viper, and then we don't have a plan.
And you know, I can't discredit Quantum Freaks. The attempts on a Viper have been really good. That was a super great read from Quantum, catching him over the wall with the ult. but it's just not enough. You know, you take out Viper, and Hololive Esports are so good at turning it around. Speaking of turning it around, Dudu, I think you just kill him.
Pulls in, yeah. Well, Delight is now going to go on a bit of a walkabout. Does have flash, and Dudu just going to give up on it.
Yes.
Zeka was in the area. Yeah.
I think that's valid.
Yeah.
I think that's a valid thing to be scared of.
He does have Spirit Visage. That is all the amount of magic resist that he has, and I don't think that Zeka and his Void Staff care that much about it.
Well, I don't know if you've seen, but Hololive Esports have 2 Abyssal Masks.
Oh man.
They really wanted Zeka to do the most damage possible. I think 2 is a little bit overkill. They don't stack, but obviously in some situations, 2 people at different points in the fight, so you're spreading it out more. But regardless,
maybe they could all build one. It's like the Masquerade Ball composition as Delight. Not quite able to get over that wall.
You know,
a little bit of a short hop there on that one.
I played a fair bit of Alistair. It's definitely
Oh dear. On a merry jaunt is Peanut, and he is very far away after that Emperor's Divide. The rest of Hololive Esports wanting to commit to this one. The Pulverize is massive as Dudu trying to get into that backline, but now Viper, he has everyone behind him. The bottom lane has been torn apart once again, and Cuz is running the wrong direction, doesn't have any teammates, and somehow that massive ride that Peanut just went on was absolutely the right thing to do.
Yeah, a little bit of an oopsie there from Delight, but Peanut's there with a follow-up. They start the fight, and it kind of just feels like at this point, the context of the fight doesn't really matter. Just the fact there's a fight means Hololive Esports are winning it, and this is that replay of the earlier fight. Honestly, I think Quantum played this really well to pick out the Zeri, but it just ends up not being enough. So you see, Full goes in, dashes over, instantly grabs.
Dudu taking a lot of damage here, and he's just going to get rocketed to the back of the head.
Yeah, you know, it's not a new experience seeing Rek'Sai fall off. That was kind of always the case, but definitely a reminder that this champion doesn't hold up as well in the later stages of the game.
No, not so much, especially in the context of these compositions where Hololive have a Zeri and a Corki, and then a whole lot of frontline to throw, like the tank lethality Aatrox that we talk about is included in that frontline conversation. Yeah. And now these minions are knocking on the front door of Quandong Freaks, and the Nature's Grasp coming out once again. As Bulldog does stand behind Cuz, that is going to create enough space to take down these Nexus turrets, and my god, Quantum is burning, gets to the fountain and is going to at least survive, but his Nexus turret's not going to be so lucky. The Nexus is now exposed. Some lower health bars here on Hololive, but they will just take themselves this inhibitor and look to back away. Another dragon, I believe, has their name on it.
Yeah, and I think you can tell that Hololive Esports are all business today. It is playoffs. They are not messing around. It is not double a limb. They are taking it seriously. They back up. They don't go for the end there with the open Nexus. So, like, we don't need to. We can back up. We can take the dragon.
And I also think, like, after the early game as well, you can understand exactly why they're doing this. I think that Quandong Freaks played fantastically well.
A lot of respect.
Yeah. And I think that it is well deserved, even though the gold lead is now 11,000. Freaks now stacked up to 3 apiece. And Zeka just delivers a package to the big Raptor. Look at that. That was very satisfying. And we'll check out this fight one more time. This was Peanut's wild ride.
Yeah, you know, we saw Delight miss the combo. I was trying to say before, it happens when, like, you go for a play and they move out of range just before you headbutt. You end up just slamming the ground.
Yeah.
Peanut commits heavily. It looks like it's going to maybe be a misplay. But I just think the Rakan, we're kind of seeing the issue with the pick. Like, Quantum just gets one shot all the time in these fights. And even Dudu, who's, like, built pretty much full tank, just isn't enough to stand up to how much damage is coming out of this Corki right now. It's a full build Corki.
Oh my goodness.
We don't often see the Corki get to this stage because normally it's kind of 1 on 3 or 4 items. The damage here is just going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, it was already ridiculous, and now it is. We're going to need more adjectives. As now, there's a Pulverize on to Cuz. Pretty tanky though, especially with that Frost Armor. Okay, yep, ridiculous. Very true. Emperor's Divide just to get rid of Peanut. Viper says that's his opportunity to just go in. Both of these carries just tearing holes in Quandong Freaks with every single ability. And this Nexus is not going to be long for the world. They'll grab a couple of kills on their way out, but Hololive, it was difficult in the early game, but they managed to make it happen in the end. 1-0 in the series so far.
Yeah, and I think it's very clear that Hololive Esports not only respected Quandong Freaks in a lot of ways, but also knew that comp to win was just leaning into the late stage of the game, so many fights that they just opted out of, and they're like, look, we're going to be fine in the later stages of this game. I still think this was a good performance from Quantum Freaks.
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of showing off the issues in this series, that you can have a good early game, you can play a solid game for a good portion of it, but if you give Honor Life Esports a single way back in, they will take it.
And they did, and they ran with it completely. I think that so much comes down to that third dragon fight, right? The very first mountain that we did see. And the fact that Honor Life Esports were able to take some control, get themselves that dragon, even if the fight wasn't exactly won on their side, just bought them those precious minutes in order to get the game back under control. So I imagine CP Mac's not going to be too upset with how things went. A lot to work with moving towards game number 2. As Zeka, did a lot of damage. He was Corky.
Did a crazy amount of damage. You know, we were definitely critical of Zeka's Corky performances before this. Pretty on point in this one. Definitely feels like he's leveled it up. And I just think the main issue for me, Quantum Freaks, was his bot lane. Not specifically the play, but more so just they couldn't find any presence in fights. The Kai'Sa Rakan, I feel like, were just getting one shot time and time again. So perhaps that's something they look to change up.
Maybe going back to Bull's misfortune that he did look kind of okay on earlier in the season definitely could be something worth considering. It is now time to go to a short break, though. When we get back, the space is going to be there to break down game number 1, and we'll head towards game number 2.
지금도 되고 넥타이 뒤 돌았을 거야 이거. 넥타이 정면이다. 펄떡 본다. 막 나오면 깍치면 네, 세점 먼저 저 때릴게. 가서 봐줘. 알리 떡게 몇 초? 나 떡게 3초 2초. 보자 웃기긴 해놨어. 여기 넥타이 볼게. 넥타이 맞아. 넥타이 노플 있대. 넥타이 잡던지. 기다려봐. 안 끝낼게. 가봐라. 나이스.
생명이 스포츠입니다.
내가 없는 곳에서 최강을 논하지 말라. 지지율이 많이 올라갈 것으로 예상돼요. 올라갈 일만 남았고 올라가야 되는 겁니다. 광동 프린스 믿질 않다.
광동이 플레이오프 갑니다.
Hello and welcome to the space. We are here at the Woori Bank playoffs for the LCK, and this one was pretty interesting. Game 1 between Homolife Esports and Kwangdong Freaks. I'm Valdez, with me is Hooney and Chronicler to break down this first game. Guys, what did you think about that one?
Better than expected. Actually, from Kwangdong, I really liked that they went for some creativity in draft. The Rex at top coming out was really cool. And we did see them actually match in early game. I think Cuz again being a really big instrument here for them on his Sejuani, one of his most comfortable picks. But as soon as we got the team fights, Hummer were like, no, not happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it was like the huge macro gap, I would say, after especially the middle game. It's done. Like, sure, early game, like they are actually having really favor from just as a draft we see. Like, it's just Rek'Sai Sejuani on top side into Aatrox. It's really easy to play, and even Azir into Corki in early game. Like, that actually allowed to the Sejuani move everywhere. And it's just like as long as the bottom actually there's no any single incident, I'll say like they're pretty chill on Kwangdong Freaks. So they were really good at stacking the Drake. It was like really big pressure for HLE, but I think the HLE took really nicely just the pressure's over.
Yeah, the problem was that with the early lead that they got, I think this composition is really reliant on denying Mountain Drakes and getting them themselves. If it was another Drake, he might have been fine, but you only have 2 damage dealers, and the only one with consistent DPS is going to be Bulldog, because realistically, you can't go AP Kai'Sa, you can't really go for the poke build, and because you're auto-attacking, you're so short range, it's really hard to play out, and I think we really saw that in some of the later fights.
Yeah, the team fights in general, I would say, as the game came along, as you're mentioning, it just slowly but surely did go in favor of Homolife Esports, and we can see that in our first highlight with Homolife Esports dominating this fight around the Baron. Kwangdong Freaks trying to go for an early Baron take. It does not pan out too well.
And it really is the combination, I think, of Delight and Peanut. The way that they play out these fights, the flow that Homolife has, is so hard to deal with for a team like Kwangdong.
I mean, it's just like we're gonna show like both highlight, but it's like I really just don't like that generally the Baron started from the Kwangdong Freaks because like the aura is such a really great spot that they can just go for a stack of Drag Soul first, and then they can actually pressure the Baron after, because like the HLE they can't burst the Baron, and they can't just poke if there was no any single objective, which is they're just gonna be like smoothly. They're gonna just push side lane, just wait for the Drake, and it's just gonna be like another just a team fight that is gonna be really organized for Kwangdong Freaks.
And as broken as tank Rek'Sai is, it doesn't actually do damage. So you can just pick Aatrox, who is both a full tank and deals damage. Great.
Yeah, Chronicler, as you guys can probably tell, is a big fan of Aatrox, loves that champion. Also, I feel like you don't really have any hard lockdown for the Aatrox, for the Zeri, and you know, going very all in on that and not locking them down is just kind of the end of the road, and they just get chased down by the Zeri. And eventually, even 3 minutes later, we do have another fight around the Baron, which this time the Maokai ultimate gets huge value.
I mean, it's just like same thing. Like Kwangdong Freaks, they're not like in a spot that they don't have to be the desperate. Like sure, their scaling was like. Probably HLE is scaling like it's like a little bit better, I would say, but still like they were like almost like 5,000 gold ahead. So there was no reason for them to actually doing this kind of type of stuff. And Dudu was like already so far away while the Maokai ulti was casting.
And here as well, you again see, I think Bulldog not having the best game on Azir, unfortunately, not really lifting the weight, because this composition in the team fights, he is the one that I think needs to do the most heavy lifting. Yet the setup is there from Cuz and Dudu, but if he doesn't output enough consistent DPS, gets targets low so that Bull can jump in. I don't think Bull's ults were great. He had an ult near the, I think it was the Fur Dragon fight where he like went melee range of Aatrox, which obviously don't do that. But I also think that the composition, once they kind of lost momentum, once they didn't get that third soul point or that third Drake for soul point, it was really hard to play out.
You know, Kwangdong Freaks, they got an early lead, and hopefully that means that this series will be a bit more competitive than we were expecting. But let's take a look at the POG here for the side of Homolife Esports for Game 1. Will be Peanuts, not a big surprise here.
Him and Delight, I think, were to me the standouts. Obviously, Dorn did win the fights, but I also think that part of that was the way that Kwangdong played around it. but it's this continuous back and forth of them getting so low and not dying, or dying but winning the fight while doing it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the game that just was pretty, you know, it wasn't, I'll say, like, easy to choose, like, who actually play, you know, like, the best. We just, like, the Peanut, like, had a really consistent game. Just, like, from early on, it's, like, not actually having a mistake, and also the ulti timing. And especially, I think, these play, the flash in, these fight of the jungle, I think it was, like, really, I would say, high rated.
And this is after the numerous nerfs that Maokai's gotten as well. And Peanut's still B1ing it. People are still banning it to him. We saw that in the last week as well. And I like a bit of a split vote because I feel like realistically there's a ton of people to go for.
It was a tough one.
It was very tough.
I don't know about...
And there was there was one 80 carry vote, one Viper vote. We actually considered that early on, you know, when the fights were being turned, the Zeri value was pretty high and Viper was playing it well, but...
I don't mind the media votes.
Getting a vote.
Media kind of based this one.
Feels like you guys kind of controlled this one alongside of Jonah Strong and one of the Korean desks. So the deskers winning out this time around, I suppose. But is Quantum Freaks going to show that they can challenge them again? Or is this just going to go to a 3-0, a little bit more difficult than we expected? Quantum Freaks are going to go, by the way, over to the red side once again.
They're definitely going to ban Rek'Sai, even though it didn't end up winning. I think it was a nice performance. I'm sure CVMax has more tricks up his sleeves. To me, though, either need to get Bull on something that he gets to have more impact on, or Bulldog needs to be on a carry. I think Bulldog can be kind of the solo carry with Dudu playing a tank, but then you do need him actually outputting a lot of DPS.
I mean, I really like the competitions that they actually prepare for the game one, like which is like just focusing on all the game. They just have to work on a little bit better with the middle game, the macro play. They just don't have to get that spread like when they're really good spot. I think the game one first straight was so winnable for Guangdong Freaks. I think they will probably try again. I think with the similar top of the comp.
Yeah, I hope so, because that would make for a pretty interesting series. But we're done here on the space for game number 1. Let's go back to the casters for game 2.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for the breakdown of game number 1. And Ox, I just want to say, I'm really proud of what you have done with media.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, I know, like, the power of your group chat that you guys obviously have together, I think they're leveling up day by day.
Some long conversations.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, but look at the damage graph. I'm like, there's more to it than that.
Except for that one guy. Middle media still isn't off the hype train yet.
It's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
But, yeah, definitely becoming more and more base by the day. But yeah, you know, I agree with what the desk said. I think the approach of the composition in general, I think it's the right approach. I think playing that strong top jungle works. I think maybe just a bot lane switch up where you can have, you know, some picks that can contribute a bit easier in fights. Because I feel like the Rakan and the Kai'Sa were struggling.
Oh yeah.
Something I always also think is that they first picked that Rek'Sai. You know, I feel like in game 1, it's kind of like it's still a trump card, right? Where Honor Life Esports really expecting it. Could they not have left it till late in the draft to prioritize an 80 carry earlier? The problem is you're not going to be able to do that now because they're aware of the Rek'Sai. So if it goes to second rotation, probably will just be banned. I also want to add that I believe Peanut is still 100% win rate on Maokai.
Yes.
So
that's 10-0 now.
Wow. Doing pretty good on the pick. And I think I mean, that game was just him, Doran, and Delight playing Bouncer.
Yep.
You know, for the celebrities in the backline.
And those celebrities were eaten pretty well, as we saw in the damage graph. Same bands here to come through, just in a slightly different order from Honor Life Esports, and there is exactly the same bands on the other side as well. Is it going to be just once again a Maokai first pick? And yeah, obviously it is.
Yeah, I don't think you dispute that at all in this situation. And again, I think the Rek'Sai Sejuani was fine. Question is how you sort of switch things up from here. Reminder, it was Zeri Aatrox here for Honor Life Esports, and I don't think they have a reason to change things up themselves, at least not yet. That's probably at all.
Yeah.
Until Quantum Freaks change something, I think you can just keep going in that direction.
I felt like the Aatrox did struggle a little bit, but in the later game, I feel like they wouldn't have wanted any other champion.
Yeah, consistent theme of Aatrox is, you know, you struggle a little bit, build full damage, be the tankiest champ on the Rift, and just one-shot people.
Yeah,
and it works very well. You know, Zeka paid his dues. He played one Corki game. He's like, let me play Yone now.
Yeah, please. It's going to be the Azir locked in instead.
Okay, so they've made the adaptation. A bit more early pressure, and even though they won last game, it definitely felt like that was something they were lacking. So look at the challenge here. The question is, what is Bulldog going to pull out? Because yes, he could just go over to the other side of the Corki Azir matchup, but I'm not sure that's really the sort of pick that we expect from Bulldog. He can play things like the Quay, which are pretty longer range, but very typical, they don't have that strong of a much. Yeah, the Aurelion Sol, so particularly difficult for the Zeri. That singularity when it comes down, you know, it doesn't matter how much movement speed you have, it really does cause issues when you're trying to skate around the fight.
Not to mention the ult just being... You can't exactly Jet Set Radio Future your way out of that, because it kind of hits the whole screen and then another screen
and also, another screen. You cut through tanks so quickly that this Maokai won't have an easy time here. You know, if you do end up getting caught out, you will just get laser beam. So we'll see how it changes. So far, Alistair banned away as a denial. Remember, it was that Corki last pick, so last time they were banned a mid laner. So once again, the Jinx ban comes through, which I think makes a lot of sense. Super powerful on the patch.
Yeah, I think keeping the 80 carry bands the same. I think you could probably move away from a Lucian ban. I don't think you're too worried about a Lucian coming through here, as the Jace is going to be taken away from Doran.
I mean, they must be happy with how the matchup goes for the Rek'Sai and the Aatrox, but just because Aatrox is Aatrox, I probably would have banned him.
Yeah.
But clearly focusing on trying to make the matchup work, and they know the power of Maokai Jace, especially the long range aspect of it, so potentially concerned about that. See what this final ban is. It's going to be the Lucian again.
So exactly the same bans as game number 1 for Hammer Life Esports. The only switch up is moving towards the Azir and the Aurelion Sol coming on through. Different bans entirely from Quantum Freaks in the second half. And of course, things didn't go so well for them in game number 1 as this game went on. So you could imagine that it does make a fair bit of sense that they have made the adjustments. As now Bull having a long conversation and then just locking in Draven. This is another one of his picks that he has been confident on in the past. Hasn't found all that much success here in the LCK. Just in general, Draven hasn't been doing too well. 16.7% win rate, as you can see. Rel being considered now by Delight, and that would mean, you know, like, just stack up the bounces. That's exactly what they want to do. And Rel Aatrox just seems like the same composition, but in a lot of ways better.
Yeah, and especially it's going to seem so difficult for the Draven to play. I understand that you saw some heated discussion between Bull and CB Max there. Clearly they were struggling to figure out what to play in the bot lane with these bans coming through, and now look at it, Doran having the TF. TF did get nerfed, but still seemed very strong after the nerfs. It looks like they're just going to go with the Aatrox. So similar comp as last game, a little bit of a tweak. Don't have as much poke damage, so range less of a threat, but so much lockdown, such powerful backliners, and we'll see. Look at the Renata coming out for Quantum. I think that's a really good pick, honestly.
Yeah, not a lot of range on Hammer Life Esports' side, so I think that you can get a lot of value with the hostile takeover. Quantum going to take that one down, and also I think Bull going to be very happy to have a bailout in that bottom lane, especially. These early skirmishes, I don't think Zeri Rel is going to be able to do anything at all to the Draven and Renata. So a definite place to play through here for Quantum Freaks in a place that has been historically on the weaker side for this team. So still a lot of power, bit of late game insurance with the big old dragon there in the mid lane. I like this one a lot more this time around.
Importantly, it's putting Bull on comfort, because I think Bull didn't look comfortable on the Kaise. It was especially a hard game for it. This is a hard game for Draven, I'm not going to lie, but if you get that early momentum, you can definitely be in a good spot. You have the bailout, as you said, to help. We are seeing that consistent theme, though, of Quantum Freaks, where they don't really play those strong mid-jungle combos. When other teams would play like Vi, Talia, it's always kind of those scaling mages from Bulldog. But it does mean still, despite that little bit of a black hole of pressure in the mid lane, where Azir is going to have that early impact, but the top of bot lanes, Huz can definitely play through. And I think more than anything this game, you need to make stuff happen bot lane.
Yeah, precisely. See Quantum Freaks fans just continuing to support their squad. Things looked like there was some hope in game number 1. It's looking even better here in game number 2. Hammer Life Esports still with a lot of tools, not with as much range. And on the side of the Quantum Freaks, the Draven. Can it be the difference maker here for Bull? He loves this champion. He's got a range support. They should have control. Another opportunity as we dive into game number 2.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Alrighty. We're on the rift. for game number 2, the Woori Bank 2024 LCK Spring Playoffs. Quantum Freaks early invade here, level 1. Understandable.
Yeah, that level 1's pretty solid.
Tremor Sense is something that we haven't needed to talk about for a very long time. But
Yeah.
it is a very valuable tool.
Yeah, it's also something they actually buffed. So there were so many changes over a bunch of patches to try and make Rek'Sai into more of a bruiser. And one of them was they made the Tremor Sense range increase and also the tick rate. You know, like how frequently you see the has gone up. So it became a much better tool as a result. And obviously us as observers, you don't get to see that. But definitely another reason why he's been holding up pretty well.
Peanut is well and truly behind enemy lines here.
This is crazy. You saw all the pings coming out, trying to like predict where the vision was from Quantum Freaks. This is like, you have to be so confident to like walk into the enemy jungle this deep solo and be like, I'm just starting wolves.
He's just dabbing as well.
Yeah.
He knows that the observers are watching him. Like, he just knows.
He's been around long enough. You know?
Is Zeka just gonna die? Just breathed on?
Yeah.
That was an interesting move. Zeka just doesn't like it if he hasn't taken obscene amounts of damage in the early game. He's like, oh, that's what this dragon does. He breathes on you and you have a bad time. All right, writing that down.
You know, and I was kind of talking about, it's actually, by the way, also the Grasp Azir this time.
Aha.
So going for that tank Azir we saw earlier in the split from Showmaker in particular. And Cuz will now know.
And he walks over the ward as well. So Peanut able to make his way out of there.
And actually, depending on the path Peanut takes, he might not even... They just have no idea. It's just like, wait, is he invisible?
It's the ethereal tree just running through the jungle and walks straight to the one camp that Cuz doesn't take because, of course, HLE Esports had full vision. They knew exactly where everyone was and which camps were still up.
I think it's just testament to a player with the level of experience that Peanut has, that you can go for that invade, and he feels so cool, calm, and collected in sort of navigating it and not losing up. But now Zeka, this is very overextended.
He certainly is. He's going to be able to shift some sands, but still going to get hit by that Arctic Assault. I think he's going to have to flash, and there it is, the flash after him as well as the flash forward. Okay, that was a little bit of a worry, but they take a couple of turret shots and they're going to be okay. Let's see whether this one is going to be a little bit cleaner as that handshake absolutely fantastic from Quantum. Quantum Freaks fans going nuts here as well as that gank does not work.
Yeah, 2 positive plays for Quantum Freaks. Yes, that mid play was a little bit janky in how it played out, but the red buff pays off. You know, I was thinking it would just be the flash and it would take that, but they commit for the kill. The payoff is there, and Quantum Freaks able to defend away from that bot gang from Peanut, and now, the first time they have information on where he was, showing up.
They're going to be able to get some pings down. You can see they were pinging the blue jungle of HLE Esports' side of the map, knowing that all of those camps are still up and available as this wraparound. Yeah, this is an all or nothing play is what it feels like, because otherwise he's just going to lose his entire topside jungle if he gives himself away. They're going to need to find value from this play here. And now Delight finds the Shattering Strike, and now the tree is making their way forward. Ignite ticking down onto Quantum. He flashes, but I don't think it's going to be enough to flash forward for Peanut. He takes a casual turret shot. There's the instant bailout as well, and Quantum Freaks get another kill.
What a miscalculation. If it wasn't for the turret hit, I think Quantum probably just doesn't get the bailout, but they overcommit. And you know, this Maokai isn't this tanky this early in the game. Phase Rush is the tech, not Aftershock, so I think he just expected to be a lot tankier than he was.
Yeah, and now Bull should be able to pick up all of these minions underneath the turret, as of course, Quantum, he's going to go back.
Man,
and yeah, a plate. That's all that HLE Esports get from this.
The only saving grace is the fact that it wasn't Bold getting the kill. Otherwise, I mean, this lane would just be over. But even so, it's still a terrible thing to pan out. And now, oh, Doran, you're in trouble again.
He certainly is. There's the flash knockup as Doran going to get permanently frosted and will just be taken down here because tanking up a couple of turret shots, but he, of course, is very happy to do so. Oh, man. This is even better than last game, and we mentioned already that even in the later stages of the game, this is feeling a whole lot better.
Yeah, it felt like they kind of doubled down with the composition, because like here, yes, you have a lot of early elements that want to crush early, but like you have, you know, a Draven who, if you get ahead, he gets so much gold, and you also have an Aurelion Sol who holds up in the later stages of the game. You're not against the Porky. I feel like it's crazy to say, but you know, you're right. They're in a better position than last game, and last game had a really good early game.
Yeah. Well, We'll see who's going to be the difference maker this time for Life Esports, if anyone is going to be. I think that even in this mid lane, you mentioned already that Bulldog just didn't look that comfortable on the Azir. And I think that that was absolutely true. This is definitely one of his comfort picks. He absolutely loves the Aurelion Soul. And so I think that even from the mid lane, things are going to look better. Still, early days, we're going to have to see more here. As Peanut, not very good at losing on Maokai, as we mentioned earlier. So we'll see whether he can pick himself up from his bootstraps and get things happening as we're going to check out this play once again. Absolute disaster from Life Esports.
Yeah, the flash from Quantum's so good. And it's just... Peanut, I think the phase rush caught him off guard.
Yeah, he walked too far, yeah.
And he just ran too far. Didn't expect to take the tower hit. Just a really heavy overcommit. I think part of the problem as well is the Zeri, because of the minions in the way, wasn't able to get the damage down. So Peanut felt like he had to be the one to finish off the kill. And it ends up backfiring pretty heavily.
Yeah. And so now, going to miss out on this first Drake. That'll go over to Quandong Freaks. Pretty happy to grab themselves a Hextech. Next one going to be an Ocean as well. And so Chemtech on the table. Love to see it. Chemtech Soul, that would be optimal, especially for this commentator setup that we have here on the global side. As Dudu will get out of the infernal chains that bind. But he just goes underground, I guess, and everything's K.
Now, I mean, remember, Dirk was nerfed a little bit, the AD has, so not as powerful to spike as before, but you can see, like, level 6 on Bull, it is just a really scary situation for Life Esports to be in right now. They're doing pretty good to keep up in terms of farm, but in terms of pressure in the lane, they just cannot match, and as Bull stacks up his passive, it gets to the point where his ult will just do so much true damage with the execute, it's really scary to deal with. Like, you have to handle the Draven before that point, because eventually it gets to a spot where he can just so easily pick up kills in the back of his ult, especially against squishy targets.
Now Cuz going to move on over. You can see 169 stacks on this Draven. As Peanut is in position to try and stop this. 3v3 is going to occur as Winter's Wrath does not connect. Still should be a second plate here towards this bottom side. Oh, never mind. There's going to be a lot of respect paid here by the Quandong Freaks. Not able to quite take that one down, but that should be a pretty sure thing. They've got 6 minutes to get like a damage on that.
Should be able to find that one pretty comfortably. Oh, they're looking.
Yeah, there's a flash forward. Instant cleanse from Bull is fantastic, but still that is 2 summoner spells. Now Nature's Grasp coming on through. This Alcove Gaming not going to work out for Quantum, as this time he will be taken out. No bailout for you, and Viper collects the first kill for Life Esports. Cuz waiting in the wings. This could be slightly overly aggressive by Viper positioning-wise, but Cuz does give away his position, and Viper moves away. And now Cleanse Flash available for Viper, unavailable for Bull.
Yeah, you know, it's a good gang for the side of Life Esports, but the fact that Bull survives is such a big difference maker there. Still able to hold on to their stacks, and they're just worth so much gold. So yeah, obviously not a great outcome for them, but hope is still alive that they can capitalize on this Draven. And the stacks are starting to get a little bit crazy numbers.
Yeah, this payout could just be the most massive. That's why you saw Life Esports going so aggressively onto Bull, realizing immediately that Quantum is a free one if they do get all of the summoner spells, and then Bull gets away because Quantum's flash was already down from the play prior.
Yeah, and they give the gold over to Viper, and now speaking of giving gold over.
Yeah, I think that Doran might be dead. Yeah, fine. Okay, Magnus Storm to come forward, and there is Zeka finding the Emperor's Divide. It's a double kill for Delight. Suboptimal, I guess, as far as giving the kills over, but Zeka still collects himself the assist, and that is a 2-for-1 in favor of Life Esports.
Beautiful time to come in, and if you look, Dudu is so close to having his flash back off. With that, would have just been able to evade that situation completely. Both of them delivered that play. Just fantastic turnaround for Life Esports, and Quandong Freaks definitely feeling rough about the outcome of that one. As you said, at least it went over to Delight, but still not how you wanted that passage of play to go.
Yeah, and Delight is just going to be more tanky as a result as well. So in this early game, they might be able to even make use of that extra money that he has collected for himself.
Yeah, like earlier Knight's Vow, helpful as well for Viper.
Yeah. Well, Cousin Peanut just going to be fighting one another. Looks like they'll be able to do some sharing when it comes to these Void Bubs. Cuz going to take the first and then move away. You know, wrapping around. You can see Doran moving on over. They do have control vision in this area as Nature's Grasp comes in. Cuz might be in trouble, but there is the Singularity. The ulti comes down as well from Bulldog, who was breathing for a really long time. The Void Rush comes through, but it's not quite enough damage there onto Doran. He tries to blast Cone away, but it's not going to work out. And the early game power of this Rek'Sai is working. Peanut does have Flash, uses it to get himself out of dodge. Still a big win for Quantum Freaks.
Show the power of this Rek'Sai in these early skirmishes. Such a threat to the enemy team, and Doran, you know, he obviously had a rough laning phase last game, but bounced back. He is even further behind in this one. 0-3-1 right now. 30 CS down. Quantum Freaks kind of running away with his top side.
Yeah, and Doran didn't fall that far behind in farm last time around, so we're going to check this one out from Delight's perspective. Yeah, just slowly.
I mean, there is no better spot for Relald when someone's trying to leave the tower.
Sad that I got all the kills, says Delight.
Yeah, Bulldog just gets so much value here. The Singularity into the ult, breathing all over them. Probably got a ton of stacks from that passage of play as well. And then here from Dudu, the flash auto as he's mid-air to finish him off. Really well played.
Very nicely done. And then Bulldog sails over, gets the flash out from Peanut. We're watching Doran taking way too much damage yet again. Once again, the Bramble and Steel Caps working out very nicely here for Dudu.
I just love that someone's given Aatrox a taste of his own medicine, you know, like just the healing involved in the kit.
Yeah. As Dudu is not going to win out when these big sweet spots do come in, but then goes underground, and then you win every trade.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I plan on nerf with it is how much fury you get from the minions.
All right, there's a big old Magnus Storm. They're looking for Bull here as Viper throwing down the burst fires. The flash out there from Bulldog with the flash over the wall, and Viper locks down the kill. Goodbye, Stacks. As now Quantum, he's now found himself in a very awkward position. Cuz just comes over and Daylight Robbery steals away the dragon, and there's the Chemtech soul that we were talking about. Doran, solo kill? No? What's happening up here? Dudu doesn't have that much fury. He is going to be able to get into his tunnel though, and everything's all right. I guess it's just really hard to kill a Rek'Sai who's set up in lane.
So many stacks lost on that play, and I think Quantum didn't opt to use the W on Bull because Bull flashes out, and then Viper chases in to clean it up. I don't think it would have made a difference because I don't think Bull had a way of turning around the kill. But when you have no summoners, you have to be so much more cautious in this situation. Actually did have the cleanse, but didn't have the flash, honestly, had both of them, and still just wasn't enough. I think just needs to be more careful when you have that many stacks.
Yeah. And Quantum isn't going to be chased down, but the problem is it's 2-0 now on this Zeri, and a death with that many stacks on the Draven means more than just the extra kill that your opponent has picked up.
I mean, honestly, it's like a 1,000 gold value play with the denial of the stacks combined with the gold given over. Would have been night and day difference if he was able to get that. They are still looking to punish Doran here, though, on the top side. Dudu, I think, could probably just solo kill him, but doesn't need to. Let's give it over to Bulldog.
Yeah, World Ender is going to come down, and Doran in the Singularity, just going to breathe on a couple of times. And that is just more free food going on over this time. It's going to be lapped up by Bulldog, his first of the game.
And again, they're doing a fantastic job of punishing this Aatrox, but your other side of the map is a Draven. I'm not sure that's a pick you can kind of leave to the Wolves and still expect it to have value.
Well, there's a Nature's Grasp, indeed. Bull going to get snared. Looks like Viper was more interested in trying to lock down this turret. That is going to continue to be the case, as Dudu not quite that tanky, I guess, as more minions get breathed on here. Bulldog does have his Rylai's Crystal Scepter, just very happily clearing out minions. Oh no! Zeki interrupted, and now he's going to miss out on some minions. Breathing. There we go. That's right. I think he missed the cannon. Yeah. Not quite.
No, I think he got 84 gold from it. I'm pretty sure he got the cannon.
Oh, was it 84? I thought it was. Never mind. Let's just say that he got it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
better.
Bull lost 290 stacks.
Ow.
290.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Another way to really spin it, and this is not an easy game to play Draven into the champions the Hunter Life Esports have, so I feel like him being useful was kind of conditional on him being fed. You know, if you're at the point where you can kind of just launch an axe at Doran and do half his health, then I don't think it really matters how hard the game is to play. But here, I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle, and I think a lot of the weight is going to come on a Bulldog in this one.
And also, Draven isn't balanced around it being an even game state. Draven is balanced around getting an early advantage and having more money than your opposition. If you're down in gold, you're just down in every single way, is kind of how it works.
If he doesn't cash in, he just doesn't have a passive, you know?
Yeah.
And also just the fact that Champion, because you have such a high AD ratio and your Q scales so well with items, TP flank coming in is going to be
There are
darn.
4 people down here. Let's see whether they can hold Dudu in place, though, as they lose. They miss every single button. They do find that one, though. There are some knockups. Dudu now just trying to get into his tunnel, and he'll just get on out of there. Still, Doran is trying to fight, but he's going to turn his fight to the minions, because they stay still.
You know, honestly, I think that kind of went
really well for Quantum Freaks.
Yeah, I also was going to say, I think that kind of went even better for Honolulu Esports than I expected. They even damaged it a little bit.
Hey, there you go.
Which is more than I anticipated.
Well, Bulldog is just kind of hanging out here with this inner turret that's taking a lot of damage. Cuz is taking away the blue buff. I think that play on the bottom side might have been ill-advised.
For a team who are normally really sharp in the macro department, Honolulu Esports kind of making a bit of a blunder there.
Oh, there's a flash twisted advance. Glacial Prison is going to be picked up there as now Doran finds that flank angle. Bulldog, I think he might be dead, as he is going to breathe his way out of it, wants to be able to take Peanut with him to the Shadow Realm, but it's not going to work. And Peanut not able to find the Bramble Smash as the Gromp given over to the jungler. Zeka saying, you deserve this, Peanut. You can have it.
Yeah, and, you know, Honolulu Esports do manage to punish Bulldog. They managed to get his flash, which is pretty major, with Dragon spawning in 30 seconds. But still feels like Quantum Freaks in that passage of play were getting so much. You know, they got away with Dudu. They managed to get some... managed to get pretty free laning time mid and top. And then here, yeah, the flash W from Peanut secures it. And he tries to do as much damage as he can in return. I think the one big takeaway is he burnt the empowered ultimate, so that won't be available for this dragon fight. We'll see if that influences Honolulu Esports wanting to contest it.
And with a Chemtech sold, I think that both teams not as worried about dragons as they otherwise would be. Had it been something else. As, oh man, I feel like we've gone back in time. Bull's at 160. He's back to 160,
Think
guys.
if he hadn't died, like how many stacks he would have been on? It would have been like 450.
Sometimes you can't dwell on the past and you just have to look to the future.
His ult would have just one-shot people.
Yeah.
Bulldog, he doesn't lose his stacks when he dies though. So that's the takeaway. That's the positive spin.
There we go. 188 for the dragon. As, all right, Dudu just gets all the way in amongst it. He's now by himself, has to flash. And won't have the flash knockup, which is so incredibly valuable for the Rek'Sai. Now looking for a flank angle, but Doran, he can move on over. Delight is going to get stunned up, the Whirling Death, not doing anything at all. And now Nature's Grasp just to secure the dragon, or is it? As they push both carries right into the middle of the battle. And Viper is able to lock down one. Zeka gets another. Cuz is now just running away, as there is nothing they can do about it. Dragon is secured by Homolife Esports as well. And it is another mid-game team fight that Homolife just roll right over.
Huge payoff coming out. That flash that was burned from Bulldog gets punished immediately by Zeka. The shuffle comes in, there's nothing the Aurelion Soul can do, and as soon as he dies, it just feels like the team fight was over. Bull manages to keep his stacks, but losing a Drake, losing a mid tower, and all your team, I don't think you're feeling happy about that one.
And he doesn't even have that many stacks to keep. You saw that Whirling Death, just didn't do that much. Delight does have Knight's Vow, and he's a bit tankier than he otherwise would be with that double kill from earlier, but let's have a look at this again.
Quantum Freaks were just so slow to set up for this. Like, it took so long for Bulldog to get here. And then you see this angle from Zeka. The only one he doesn't catch is Bull because he flashed. I think that's how good that shuffle was. You know, if Bull wasn't able to flash in time or didn't have it available, he would have had all three of the backliners. So just a phenomenal play by Zeka there. And as soon as it comes through, the fight's just over.
And Dudu takes a long time to kill, but he is going to die in the end, as we're going to check out Zeka's angle. He's just going to say, I'm going in. And he gets the flash, and there it is.
And the Rel follow-up, you know. Of all the champions to have following up a Streamer Shuffle, I think Rel probably one of the best.
Yep. Draven no flash calls it all out. And that was just the one team fight. We have to remember that Azir was on the list of champions that were in Zeka's wheelhouse when he was a world champion, or when he became a world champion. Wasn't necessarily our favorite. I think we still like him for his Akali and his Yone a little bit more. But he is probably very happy to have Azir back in the meadow.
Interesting enough, he's gone Grasped. He hasn't. He's kind of still gone the Nashes, which you didn't typically see with the tank Azir. So it's kind of like a hybrid. He's bulkier, but not fully going like the Showmaker, I'm a mega tank build.
a little bit of a differentiation. We might see different items coming on through immediately afterwards, but we'll just have to see.
Well, they so want this tower, but you can't walk up to the rel, especially when Bull has no flash, so they're just going to have to back away. And I mean, if you look at the scoreboard, you look at the item, yes, and kill difference between the 80 carries.
Yeah.
Not feeling too hot.
No, and it's once again the second item LDR for Viper.
He knows what his job is.
He's even gone another recurve bow, so it might be that he's opting in for a little bit of extra attack speed. Is it going to be just a Kraken Slayer alongside it, or is he maybe heading into a Runans or something? I don't know.
I think the Kraken would be weird to have on the...
yeah, on a Zeri.
Yeah.
I just see recurve bow, and that's immediately what comes to mind. As 259 stacks now, we're getting towards Blue Blade's territory.
I think it's probably just the Runans is the most likely one. There's a lot of people clumped together in this game, so it could be in there. Yeah, 700 gold. Here's the thing, is like he actually had more stacks than this when he died, and you see it would have given 700 gold. So, you know, it really just is a heartbreaker that getting that kill difference could have been everything for Quantum Freaks, and now it's really Honor Life Esports in control. They are in now up in gold compared to them. Yeah, and I think the other takeaway as well is that there's 3 kills on Cuz. Not really where you want that gold to be.
No. In fact, there aren't really kills outside of Viper picking up kills, but everyone's kind of at the mercy of champions that don't really want to get kills. Now Zeka is just going to find Bolt, clips him with just the edge, and that is going to be Viper locking that one down. Oh, man. Well, he's got 71 stacks now.
Man, the amount of stacks lost this game, crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's almost equal to the amount gained, as now Magnustorm is going to be flashed into Bulldog. He's going to be taken down. Look at Viper. He's just hanging out. He's just finding targets. He's under no threat at all. Quantum is going to be ran down. No bailout for you, and that is going to be now Baron secured for free by Hummer Life. This game, I think, may have gone the way of the dodo.
The killer instinct of Honor Life Esports, the moment where they look for these plays, this TP flank coming in from a fairly fresh ward, and he knows Zeka was the one who called it himself, Draven no flash. It's such an easy pickup there. And then this play, Delight hiding out of vision here, sees the angle, and the whole team comes in to follow up, all of them funneling over the wall.
Oh, man.
Just honestly, such good team fighting coming out of Honor Life Esports this series. Really shows why they are a third place team.
And you're also getting a bit of info that Peanut and Delight have been playing together for quite a while, because both of them just seem to be on the same page with these engages. Delight sets it up, Peanut immediate flash, no hesitation, straight over the wall, twisted advance. All of these plays pretty set in stone for these two. And it just feels like the clock ticks over 15 minutes and Hammer are like, it's time to win now.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's 10 minutes. I don't know, might be earlier than that.
I just think part of the problem is that, you know, Quantum Freaks do a pretty good job in those early setups, getting some advantages towards the top side. But even then, they don't all go like perfectly. Like there was the kills answered back by Delight. Like it's they get a lead, but not an overpowering lead. And then it's the transitionary period in the mid game. They're just really not able to push it further. And I just think most of the time they get to team fights and they just lose. You know, this is not a fun game playing Draven. And if he's not fed, you're just gonna get bullied.
Certainly are. Good handshake there from Quantum, because is still going to take so much damage, has to flash to get himself out of the way. Singularity, Viper realizing it's quite difficult to get himself out of the way, and is eventually going to be able to do so. Armor, they will break open the base. Turret also falling down on that bottom side, as you can see Doran moving those minions in. They'll take the inhibitor, and they will then look to back away. Empowered recall gets Doran back to base, because of course there was Dudu. And wow. Yeah, that was close.
And you know, Irradiant Sol is notoriously hard to siege against, just because he can place a Singularity down and all the minions stop moving at all.
Yeah.
So using the Baron, breaking the inhibitor, actually pretty critical for Honor Life Esports to maintain sort of advantage and look to close out this game in the near future. I feel like if you give too much time to Cerulean Sol, even though obviously there's strong scaling elements on the side of Honor Life Esports, you're just asking for trouble. So setting up with this Baron. Oh no, not again. He doesn't have any stacks to take.
Well, Hanwha just not going to walk towards the Fog of War. Know that there could be a Sejuani in the area. Whoa! Walk used once again to great effect as now Viper gonna have to cleanse, but he can't cleanse the knockup. It's a decent Magnet Storm though, and he just flashes out of the way. Cuz taking so much damage. The ulti does come forward. Quantum gonna get his ult sidestepped and the skate away from Viper. Still Doran is under a lot of threat, and Dudu is gonna be able to lock down that kill in the end. But now Viper will make his way back in. The ulti is now running. Dudu is extremely tanky, but Delight is just trying to play bouncer. As Viper the skate out of the way once again. And Zeka is going to be able to finally get this kill on the Rek'Sai. No honey fruit for you. And now it is mid lane versus mid lane. And Zeka's going to call a support because he doesn't want a fair fight. That is a double kill for the Azir. And somehow, I don't know how Viper navigated that. He didn't do a lot of damage, but he did avoid death.
Yeah, it's just crazy he managed to dip away, and with him standing on the Singularity so low HP, a little bit more damage and would have been executed, but manages to avoid it in that situation. Quantum Freaks, good fight for them, all things considered, but not good enough. They're not able to find the critical targets, they're not able to take down the carries, and still in a pretty similar situation to what they were before.
We're gonna have a look at it one more time. Viper utilizing Walk in the northern direction.
Yeah, a little bit of an overstep. He does have Cleanse, but still, it's like he's trying to bait the fight in. And we're seeing the Asuran fight, the value of the ultimate from the Aurelion Soul is absolutely massive there. But the Draven's just doing like no damage here. Like he throws an Axe of Peanut, it does like 5% of his health. And Bull just has to disengage from the fight. Meanwhile, you know, they get a lot of value here, but Zeka is just such a force to be reckoned with, and he's just a bit too bulky to take down.
And best of 5 Zeka is a completely different beast. This guy is just an absolute monster. You add more games in a series, and he just exponentially levels up. And Peanut is just having a good time, as we can see. That's a happy tree right there.
He's vibing.
Yeah. Well, that's 11-0 if he does manage to close this game out.
Okay, the good news,
yeah,
Bull didn't die again.
Hey, there you go.
The bad news is he is still killless.
Yeah.
And if you look at the levels on the side, Viper is about a level and a half above him.
And even if they get a kill,
on Bulldog.
Even if he cashes in these stacks, I don't think it will matter at all. Viper is like 3,000 gold ahead.
Yeah, I
it's
think
2.5 items to 3 in most of a quick play.
I think if he cashes in, the game goes from unwinnable to very unlikely to win.
Yes.
So, slight improvement. Doesn't really change much in this situation.
Oh, triple Chemtech Drake as well. Peanut called Zeka's Azir the horribly slow murderer with a spoon. That's what he called him when we had him on screen just before. Death by 1,000 cuts, I guess.
Yeah, death by 1,000 spoons.
Yeah,
I guess.
More thematically, it would be like tickled to death with a feather, as he is a pigeon.
Yeah, and it's working out. It kind of just feels like he's this looming threat in team fights, and they just don't. He is so tanky still, you know. I mean, Leandris obviously has a bit of health, Grass stacks as well, but he's got over 3,000 health, and this team already lacks damage.
Oh, Cuz, he's able to get over that wall.
Run away.
Should be all right. As Quantum, he's just getting out of here.
Whoa.
And he should survive.
Dangerous position. It's the flanking Granada.
Oh, maybe the angle will be found. Never mind. Not going to find the handshake, and now Doran realizes that he can just dive on top of this one and look for the kill. Magnet Storm onto 3. Where's the follow-up? It doesn't actually matter. I guess they've just got enough right here as Zeka's found a Draven once again. He's put into the sky and then eliminated immediately. Dudu doesn't even look tanky anymore, and Bulldog, he's holding onto an empowered ultimate. He may need it for game 3.
Just feels like Quantum Life Esports won this game minutes ago, but they're just kind of ticking the boxes here. Quantum Freaks try to go for a creative play with a flanking Renata. You know, we've learned today she's not an engaged champion, she's not a flanking champion, and she's not going to win this game either.
Well, now that is a big ulti. Absolutely beautiful observation work there as Doran, he's going to die to the turret. There it is. Still, Bulldog takes most of his health bar and damage just incidentally is what it feels like. As Hostile Takeover is taking over nothing. And Peanut does die, and Bulldog is just going to get torn to shreds. There it is, and the Nexus goes down for the second time this series. Match point now for Hanwha Life Esports.
Just unfortunately, Quantum Freaks not able to transition their Draven from the advantages in lane to a cash-in. If they got the cash-in, I think this could be a very different game.
Yeah.
And I think Hanwha Life Esports did a fantastic job of targeting him and shutting him down. Just removing those stacks and never letting him get any momentum. And when the only threat in the enemy team is this Aurelion Sol, it makes the team fight so much simpler. You just kill him.
Yeah, and he just dies. And we saw also, once again, it's kind of epitomized as Rek'Sai goes to 0 and 2 here in the LCK since, what, 2015, when we saw Rek'Sai top lane again. Still, it just doesn't quite get the work done in the later stages of the game, and so they're so reliant on getting those cash-ins like you were talking about.
I think it's just 2 games in a row where they've struggled to figure out what to pick in the AD carry role, and neither has worked. I think last game felt terrible for Kai'Sa.
God, out-damaged by Delight and Quantum.
I mean, this game did not feel good for Draven. It was kind of conditional on, like, you need a win early, you need a cash in, you need to have the momentum. You didn't? Okay, well, every single person on the enemy team is a range checker. If you're in range of Azir, if you're in range of Maokai, if you're in range of Aatrox, if you're in range of Rel, you will die.
And also, that's the most dangerous spoon I've ever seen, as Zeka does most damage in the game. It is now time to go to a short break. When we get back, the space will break that one down, and we'll head to game number 3.
그냥 깨면서 갈게 이거. 미드 가면 끝나. 이정력이 나와가지고 탑 미드 둘 다 하는 게 좋아 보여. 아 오케이. 갑으로 해도 돼. 빨라. 나 이거 똘한테 풀떡 박아줄게. 너 공만 조심. 이거 치러 갈게. 현상강님 있어도 한 번에 못 쳐요. 아래 타워. 나 저거. 끝나냐? 끝나. 뭐야? 두 명 잡았네? 아 끝내. 타워 치면 끝나. 다시 해. 다시 안 빠도 돼. 와우. 나이스.
아니 여기서 한 명 잡히면 또 같이
아니 근데 시간이 또 지연되고 있어요 말씀하시죠.
달리 안 했죠? 근데 일단 움직임
Herald charging, spinning, 360ing. It's a little bit confusing now as Leona finally going to get into the midst of the fight. Hostile takeover is there. Mirwin now needs to find his way to the backside. Noah going to go down. MDK still trying to take over. Supa still standing. Crucially, that is one mega fed Zeri, but they can't finish off on score time. Yes, they can! Supa still alive! It's not even a bailout. He's just immortal. It's a quadra for the Zeris. This being here. Mad Lions coy like lions upon prey. It's a benta for Supa.
So don't you tell me about
by Crisp there. Xiaohao moves down, forces the flash. Shield comes up through the igniter again! Look at ZDZ! Roasted him alive! It's time for a barbecue!
O Carioca do meu Titã ainda tá tomando chase por ali.
Aqui vem chegando o Carioca pra tentar segurar, ele tá forte, mas será que é o suficiente? Será que ele vai conseguir fazer um milagre? Vai indo pro dano, ele busca um da Sônica no House, utiliza agora o Zônia, vai tentar cobrar. Ressurreição longe, o Guardião. Enquanto que agora o Titã garante a eliminação, mas é eliminado. Kaká!
Os Meu
Deus! A PEN finaliza o jogo e passa pros playoffs acima!
但队友离他很远，但真的是哇，蓝宝这个大绝的效果很好，下面又打起来了，
乌迪被抓到 ，AV 正面开砍，直接变大 Q 3斩杀，直接秒掉了乌迪。
威的大，
尼克进来做4个，被迫想救世界，后面变身开始阿紫抽到龙牌开始收割 ，PS
被抢走
，PSG 想要操作，变成了2杀4的军家，你看他正面的队友还可以。
5대 5죠. 첫 번째 아직 2대 0밖에 안 나왔습니다.
그래서 마오카이를 먼저
딜러를
리신
버텨줘.
유네부터 대박 들어갔어요.
찌직찌직. 아니 실비의 리신 그렇습니다. 해나를 잡아.
실력의 김치킥이 3인한테 들어갔어요.
생명이 스포츠입니다. 내가 없는 곳에서 최강을 논하지 말라. 지지율이 많이 올라갈 것으로 예상돼요. 올라갈래만 남았고 올라가야 되는 겁니다. 광동 프린스 미친 않다. 광동이 플레이오프 갑니다.
Hello and welcome back to the space. We're here after game number 2, which looks a little bit like game number 1, although a little bit less lived for the side of Quantum Freaks. They did get a bit of a lead, some early kills, but then eventually things immediately toppled over, and Bull was never able to cash out, and it was all very sad for them. But Hamalife Esports now in the lead 2-0 in this best of 5.
Yeah, it's when they remake a movie and you're like, did this really need a remake? It's just a slightly worse version of the first one because there's a strong top side. I think Dudu had a slightly worse game. I think some of his teamfight decisions weren't great, but him and Cuz very clearly, I think, ahead of the pack when it comes to their team, able to actually carry their weight. Then Bulldog, unfortunately, this is his first playoffs. I think we're really seeing it. Even on his A-Soul, I think he was heavily underperforming here, and he, again, is a very necessary part of this. And the key problem is that you're playing towards top side with your Sedge, which you should, but you also have Draven Renata, who you need to get ahead. So, like, I think that the draft here is actually worse outside of the A-Soul, because this bot lane, just realistically, I think Bull and Quantum are not going to be good enough to get 2v2 kills against Viper and the Light.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this is like the main reason to feel like really different between the first game, because I think it's actually Zeka was playing on the Azir and then he had a perma mid pro, even though the Bulldog actually got like ahead on all the game. It's just like I think the Zeka and especially the Peanut play really well, and also I think I really like the Rel. As soon as like they actually got the point on the bottom, like he was actually moving everywhere. He just like be able to help the top side and mid side that actually just neutralize the map like really well for HLE. Otherwise, I think this game would have been really rough because they were gonna, because I think the Guangdong Freaks, the early game, they were snowballing really well around the top side. But as soon as like it's top, I think they can't actually connect to the bottom, just keeping the snowball.
Yeah, even if we were lived in an alternate universe where Bull gets that early kill, I don't think it would have mattered. Once we got to the team fights, I think you continuously see the gap between these two teams. Like, compare Zeka's performance here to Bulldog's. The decision-making is just so different.
Yeah, and even Zeka's performance on the Corki, which was honestly one of his better Corki games, but also not a big standout. And then he goes on to the Azir, and then we see what he's able to do here around the Drake, 18 minutes in, and it just goes very quickly into the hands of Hanwha Esports in this fight.
Because again, they have a lead, they build it up towards the top side of the map. Bulldog is able to join this fight eventually, but they don't really get in a position, and I think the way that these river fights play out, you really see the experience of Hanwha. It just is so much cleaner. They engage is always on a tank from their opponents, meaning that the cooldowns go down, and then this moment.
I mean, just like eyes on like all the pink ward they had at Contra War rather, and it's like the vision gaps are so different, and as soon as like they're actually coming into the Drake pit, like it's so well angled from just Maokai just pressing R. At the same time, I think Zeka it was really easy for him to be just going in, because like he's just basically see everyone where actually the opponents are staying at.
Yeah, it was kind of swept up from there as well. We had another fight 4 minutes later in the mid lane, and this one didn't look any better for the side of Quantum Freaks. You know, Bulk gets caught a bit here, very close to having this flash available, and unfortunately, again, as we said before, never gets the cash out, never really becomes a part of this game, to be honest.
Never was given an opportunity outside of the very early bot side of the map, and then this is the cohesion of Hanwha Life whenever anyone finds an engage. So here it's Peanut. We've seen the same thing happen for when the light goes in. When Zeka goes in, the follow-up is immediate and fully synchronized. Like, Viper's immediately going in, presses his ult button, right? The light is right on top of them, and that level of cohesion takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, and I think we're just seeing why all of us were so heavily favoring Hanwha Life in this one, because laning phase you can get away with a lot more, and in team fights you're just not going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I still really think that Zach actually did so much through from just a lane phase to the middle games. Like as we saw, like the HLE 1, HLE 2, like Zeka was actually the character that he was like he started the fight. He actually just see the angle and is like into like a huge mega snowball. So I think it was a really important in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Hanwha Esports even more dominant in game number 2. Let's see who dominates the PUG score here, as it will be Delight this time around. His roams early on and also his engages later on were just really crisp this game.
Yeah, the Rel is still insanely strong in support, even though we've obviously mostly seen a jungle. This is kind of what kickstarted it. Really big roam here towards the top side of the map, but it was his immediate follow-up that really, I think, secured a lot of the fights for Hanwha Life.
I mean, it just doesn't have it in this highlight. I mean, it's just like the first actually just bottom gank as well he set up. It was like really, really insane. It's just like, it's just as soon as like he noticed the Quantum actually kind of make a mistake, and also these as well, right? I mean, sure, it is like 4v5, but he knew that where he actually has to be in the brush and just start the fight. And I just like, again, like it's just really great game for Delight, just be everywhere. It's not only like actually making the play, it's just like he was there that where actually the team needed.
Media kind of based this time around, although I'm a bit confused that Mediaox is not on the same page with his media brethren. So what does it mean?
They're learning. You know, they're actually, this is a normal thing. When you get older, you try and steer away from what your parents taught you, take the lessons in life and then apply them. So that's what they're doing here. We're watching them grow up right in front of our eyes.
I think it makes sense that all the casters went for Zeka. It was a very flashy bunch of plays that he made, and I think he does deserve the vote. So actually, memes aside, I think it is totally fine. But guys, we are done here on the space. Let's go back to the casters for game number 3.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for the breakdown of game number 2. Ox,
yeah, I was about to say, both the highlights were like Zeka show reels, so I think it's pretty valid.
You got to pay attention to your media brothers in the group chat, man.
Hey, they're doing pretty good, you know?
I know, they're doing great. I'm worried about you, man. You're falling off the horse.
Me and the Crane cast, I think there was 2 people you could vote for that game, and I think both of them were voted for, so I think it's fine.
Yeah, no, I think it's absolutely correct. But I do like poking fun. And now we're going to have to see whether we can get a game 4. That's the biggest one, because Quantum Freaks, they're going to need to try something else.
And more than anything, Pony and Cloud Templar need that game. They went for 3-1, so keeping their hopes alive of having a correct prediction. And the thing is, I think you can look at this series, and if you're just tuning in, you're like, oh, it's 2-0 Honor Life Esports. Of course it is. I'm guessing they've just been stomping. Quantum Freaks have put up good resistance. I think there are still issues they need to resolve, absolutely. I mean, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't be 2-0 down. But I feel like they haven't just flopped over. And I think the main problem is working out what you're putting Bull on. A longer range carry would be a godsend because the Draven did not work, the Kai'Sa did not work. Just give him something where he doesn't have to be up close and personal, because that is just not favoring him in this game, in this series.
Oh, Sejuani going to be the change-up here.
Okay, so Ashe left available.
Yeah.
Is obviously, typically we see the Ashe support and it's paired with the Varus. Not sure if that's really something I expect Quantum Freaks to utilize, but a big hit to Cuz, who's been so good in the Sejuani.
And the Kalista should still be the final ban on the side of the Quantum Freaks, but instead it'll be Maokai. Different Shadow Isles vibe here. Triple Shadow Isles.
Yeah, so I think the thought process is that if you take Kalista, you might have to deal with the Ashe, which is obviously a big pain point. They will just lock that one in. Obviously, a lot of early pressure available. I mean, the thing is, you kind of have to, because Bull is very proficient on the Kalista, one of his better picks back when he was in Challenges, so they don't want to give that one over.
Yep.
And Viper, obviously, no strains in the pick themselves. So now the question is, what are Quantum Freaks going to do in return? They are going to look towards the Ashe. Things like the Ashe, like the Aurelion Sol, are very effective into Kalista. It's so hard to team fight on this champion when you're just getting perma-slowed.
And also, Quantum Freaks are the only team that have actually played Ashe AD carry as well. It was Taeyun, it was very early in the season, but they do like to experiment with that. So this is likely going into support, but theoretically a flex as well. As Cuz, what are you going to be taking here? As Rel, a flex as well.
Yeah, I like
locking in 2 supports.
Good in the Kalista, you know, short range pick, a lot of engage potential. Honor Life Esports, you know, you've lost to Sejuani, you've lost to Maokai, you've lost to Rel. They could look towards Peanuts Poppy. They could look to secure the Renata now. Vi also a very valid option. You could even go like Vi Talia here if you wanted, but I think they'll probably want to secure the Renata. I think they'll likely want to. We'll see though. Obviously, you don't have full information about the bot lane. If it is a poke-heavy bot lane, Renata can feel a little bit bad. But teams just prioritize the duo so heavily and for good reason.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like Renata is somewhat dangerous with the amount of flexibility this bot lane has. Like, if you run into a third pick Caitlyn, and you have that, and then you just get completely shoved out, it can be a problem. As Vi Ahri going to come in. Zeker, of course, big fan of this champion.
So immediately, this just feels so dangerous for the Ashe. This is such an aggressive... I mean, we already saw all the games previously how an Akoi in Honor Life Esports could just turn on the aggression and just pick someone out. This comp has so many tools to do that. And Draven...
All right.
This feels... It's a good matchup to Kalista. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a good matchup here. If you snowball against a Kalista, it feels twice as good because you shut it down. But into Vi Ahri, Bull needs to have not only the game of the series, but I feel like the game of the season here.
The game of his life, I think. This is going to be so incredibly rough. And Delight's pick hasn't even been locked in yet, so he can make it even worse for this bottom lane in theory. Camille going to be taken away. Sometimes you'd think that that is a top lane ban. It is not. That is a ban towards Delight.
Yeah, I would not want to play any Camille support with this combo.
Is it Camille Nico? Are they the bans that they have to throw out here?
It could well be, honestly. Nico could be really scary as well. Yeah, I think honestly that makes sense in terms of bans. Now, for the side of Honor Life Esports, do they ban away the Rek'Sai again? It's not paired with the Sejuani, but it was still pretty obnoxious. They're going to ban the Azir first and foremost. Do you ban the Aurelion Sol? It's very unfun to play against the Kalista, and I kind of feel like it's one of those champions who can early buy a Zhonya's and not be too bothered about it, so pretty good. Yeah, playing that into the vibe. Maybe even, I mean, Annie's not really a Bulldog pick, but that we've seen had success into the Ahri. A lot of options. Regardless, Nautilus banned away, something that does pose threat onto that Ashe, and also having double point-and-click knockups, I think that would make it unplayable for Draven.
Yeah, both of those. Talia going to be taken away here. We have seen Ahri's picked into Talia. It is one of those matchups that we just see all the time, but just wanting to allow Viper to play the game, which does make some sense.
Definitely, and again, you know, champions that make it difficult to play, Kalista, definitely Talia is one of them, but the Aurelion Solas as well, they will pick that up. Not as much early pressure though. I think that's going to be the key thing that Hunlife's draft hinges on, is being able to move Zeka down bot lane to set up plays, to set up 4-mans, to once again deny the Draven the stacks. We've seen 0 Draven cashing gold this game, this series, sorry. So definitely need to get that in this one. And for the support pick, they were hovering with the Nika, but they go for the Blitzcrank.
Oh, okay.
Similar levels of threat. You know, it's not quite the AoE threat, but if you grab the Ashe, it is just game over. So Quantum, you need to be on your A game for sure here.
And you also get it guaranteed. Like, cease and desist comes in, and as long as you're in range for that hook, you are going to land it. Not to mention, some of the shenanigans you can do with Fate's Call and Blitzcrank just means that you can lock people up for an extraordinarily large amount of time. And now Doran is going to try his hand at the Rek'Sai. This time it's Life Esports with this composition that is handcrafted around the early to mid game. And they're going to see whether they can use that to actually snowball effectively for a victory. I do love that Quantum Freaks have forced them into this angle though, because I think that Hummer have looked so good at just navigating late games after whatever's happened in the early game. Their early game has been shaky. So this is probably a good place to target, as Dudu going to take the other side of the matchup.
Yeah, and obviously expect the Rek'Sai to have a lot of pressure in this matchup. Juju is a formidable Aatrox, but I feel like if I'm Quantum Freaks, I'm like, you know, have fun in the 1v1 with focusing bot. I feel like every person on the side of Quantum Freaks knows that, like, if this Draven doesn't cash in, it is game over. You need him to be ahead. Yes, you have the Bulldog scaling condition, but that only really works if you can get the Draven to bridge you to that point. And man, when you have double AD carry bot lane, if you start getting ganked on repeat, if you start losing sums, it is just going to be a 3-0. Oh, it can take long.
It is, it's looking like an all or nothing play here. They're leaving no chips in front of them. They're all in the middle of the table here. And of course, it's do or die. There is no lower bracket to rely on here in round 1 of the playoffs. Have to try and get some sort of upset, and then they're going to have to try and do it 2 more times in a row immediately afterwards.
Yep, I think you're going to need to focus on the game in front of you, 1 game at a time. Even getting a win would just be huge for them, for the fans. You know, it's been a long time since they have made playoffs, and they would hate to drop out winless from them.
Yeah.
Hard task, though.
Certainly is, as these are your compositions. A bit of a trade-up when it comes to where these teams are strong. Life wanted to come out of the gate swinging with this one. Quantum Freaks a little bit more on the late game win condition side of things with Bulldog, but otherwise might be able to go toe-to-toe. We'll see how it goes up into the rift. Once again, fans extraordinarily loud here in Lol Park. As, is that a rusted Blitzcrank? Which Blitzcrank skin is that? Is that a new one?
I mean, it's a chroma, I'm pretty sure. I think it's not a new skin, it's just a chroma on, like, I think it might be based with a chroma.
Just wondering, because it looks cool. I like
it. Does look cool.
We don't see it very often.
You know, normally people go for like the Blitz and Crank, like the cat one.
Oh no, oh no, oh no. The hook! It's going to connect onto Dudu. He's lit on fire, does have to flash immediately as Peanut is also flashing out of there. He's taking a fair bit of damage as now Doran, he has to flash. So summon a spell advantage actually goes in favor of Quantum Freaks.
Yeah, you know, it feels like a Oh, I'm really scared for you.
Yeah.
It feels like a composition where you have a Blitzcrank, you know, win level 1, but you know, you grab someone, you're dealing with the auto power of the Ashe and the Draven, you don't win that out in the extended fights. Now they're looking to go for a re-invade here. I love this idea. They have so much power in their composition. The Light is going to see it first.
Yeah. And he's going to opt out of getting any hooks, I can imagine. As they do. Look to steal this one away. Speaking of stealing things away, that
grabbing a smite?
Yeah. And there it is. Picked up. And the smite goes over to Peanut.
No.
That is, yeah, top of the morning to you, sir.
You know, I feel like going for these aggressive invades when the chips are down, when it's looking a bit rough, 100% respect for Quantum Freaks, but feels bad going into game 3. You know this is your last-ditch effort, and you miss out on the smite there. Not the start that we're hoping for.
This is something that Cuz has sometimes had trouble with, has landed some amazing smites. But often when he's the one with control, he's taken away from him.
You have to auto on the Ashe, right? You have to keep constantly pressure and use the Hail of Blades on your opponent, but it's so scary against the Blitzcrank.
Yeah.
Every time you can see from Quantum's like clicks, just every time he walks up, he's like, oh, I'm watering, but I'm not happy about it.
He did look pretty good on the Ashe last time around, even though it was a loss. He didn't look too bad. Was putting a lot of pressure on in lane. And the results weren't great in the end, but I think that we can say that his laning phase was all right. 4-0 in favor of the Kalista in a matchup that we often say is actually Draven favored.
Yeah. Not being favored enough recently.
No. Not quite working out. This, just to confirm, it is just the base skin chroma, so it's well. I mean, that's what Rusted Blitzcrank was as well. But cuz he's coming in, they're looking for a very early gank, but Peanut's in position. The flash out from Quantum as the hook does come through. And that's a trade up on Summoner Spells. As Peanut, we were talking about bounces before, the fact that Delight, Peanut, and Doran have all been acting like that. I mean, Peanut actually, this game, looks exactly like one.
Oh, it feels so rough losing the Ashe flash early because Delight can just flash E into grab, and I'm pretty sure there's no navigating that. I'm pretty sure Quantum just gets one shot.
We'll see what Viper's going to do for the build as well. He has gone the lethal tempo, so I assume it's just going to be the regular attack speed on hit variety of the Kalista.
Which is interesting because, you know, I mean...
Yeah, I like the lethality version as well.
He does have a rel to cut through, but like I said, this is a very hard game to play Kalista into an Aurelion Sol and an Ashe, so lethality kind of has the benefit of you just can launch a Q in and pop someone, but obviously that does make you very snowball focused when your comp is already leaning heavily into the early game.
Yep. See what they can actually utilize with it. As Zeka is moving on in, they do get information on where Cuz is. You can see it's already Peanut taking away the red buff, taking away the Krugs. Dudu looking to try to stop these tunnels. But Peanut is coming over, does spot out that ward, I believe, and Cuz not going to be able to jump onto his Krugs.
But they know where Peanut is based on the fact that they're missing. Have a pretty good idea of it.
Yep. Peanut, I think, going to go back and just grab this grab, and that is going to be Cuz missing out on that one. So big advantage here for Peanut when it comes to farm.
Yep, definitely a good early edge over the rel so far. Other than that, nothing too crazy coming out.
Doran is going to get chained up momentarily. We'll need to go underground a little bit to utilize that Fury. I feel like this is a champion that does benefit Doran because he does like going for trades that he doesn't often win. And so then just gets to go underground and then, haha, I won the trade.
Yep, yep. You know, the other person's like, oh, well, I won this trade. Give it 5 seconds, and no, you didn't.
Yeah. And there's a knockup as Dudu does land some chains here. And as you can see, it feels like the Fury just like goes up really, really fast.
Yeah, it's one of the things, because obviously top lane Rek'Sai is quite new. They've already got nerfs scheduled to come in where you just generate way less Fury for minions. Because I think that's the problem. It's like, you know, if you trade heavily against someone and get the Fury, that's one thing, but you can just heal up the minions constantly.
Yeah.
Which feels very obnoxious.
Doran's just having fun pressing every button. We do know that he has been playing a lot of Rek'Sai recently, in solo queue especially. He's on like a 76% win rate or something like that on this champion. Not too bad. So Doran, no stranger to how this one is supposed to be played out, especially with the practice he got on the other side of the matchup in the last couple of games. Certainly must be feeling that it is a very good one for the Rek'Sai after what happened.
Yeah, I mean, both games felt like Beauty had an absolute edge there. Lily Dragon picked up by Quantum Freak, so with it being a Chemtech, definitely puts higher priority on later souls.
Absolutely.
Haven't seen a ton of action. One thing I will say is that Quantum nearly has his flashback and hasn't been punished. I would have loved to see them make something off that.
I think maybe just kind of happy that Viper and Delight get to farm. As you can see, Delight not down, Viper not down too much farm. And so maybe just sort of happy about that, being able to weather the storm here.
I guess also playing into an Ashe, it's very hard to set up situations where you can gank just on the back of the Hawk shot. And also, if you go for 2v2 play and you end up misplaying, like let's say you kill Ashe but Draven gets a kill back, is just such a bad position to be in. Maybe just waiting for the team fights before they can punish the Draven. Don't give him any opportunities to trade kills.
Yeah, basically not letting him cash in is the main thing. It's
that
not
worked
really
well
about
last game.
It certainly did. Killing him was a pretty big part of that.
Yeah, not necessarily specific to Draven, but just in general, killing the enemy carry usually.
Yeah.
Oh, Peanut's coming in, he's level 6. It's
Yeah, there it is. There's the flash, and Bull is in so much trouble. He's just dead. The Rend is going to come in whenever Viper would like to press the button, and there it is. That's first blood going over to Viper as well on this Kalista. That is so dangerous. Harmalife Esports off to exactly the start they were looking for.
And that just didn't even feel remotely difficult.
No.
Oh, this might just be a fault. No flash still available.
Yeah, the hook is just going to miss, and they're like going to have to walk away. Quantum is able to press Q and do a fair bit of work there, but I don't think they're getting any kills or anything like that, especially not with Peanut still in the relatively immediate vicinity.
The okay thing is at least it's still early, so they didn't lose that many stacks.
Hey, there you go.
Is the cope I'm going for?
That's some cup half full. Zeka just walking towards Bulldog here, who takes a lot of damage from the full combo. There is a Hex Flash and a Rocket Grab as Quantum's just dead, punched in the noggin. And that is going to be a second one going over to Harmalife Esports. Now it is Peanut getting accelerated, and he was already pretty far ahead. This is Dudu actually fighting very well against Doran here. He will now go underground and just be fine.
You know, I think my takeaway from this situation is that if you're gonna pick red side, I think maybe saving the support counter pick would have been really, really valuable. Because they are not having a good time in this Blitzcrank.
I've seen this one before. All right, let's see whether Doran is going to be... No, he can't. He can't even press his buttons. As Cuz is going to have to flash to avoid dying to the turret, but is still going to avoid giving money over to Doran, which is definitely high value. They'll also get some plate money. Doran does have teleport. Yeah, he's still going to miss out on a lot.
I think Doran kind of misplayed a little bit there. Didn't get a chance to get his ult off, and that's one of the most powerful anti-dive tools, because eventually you're in...
I was waiting for
then. Yeah, he had flash as well, just not a great use of his tools, I'm going to be honest, because I think he for sure could have traded back. I mean, obviously, with how low Cuz was, if he ulted, I think he would have been in a good spot. But regardless...
you do buy a lot of time, don't you, with the Void Rush?
Yeah, it really is. And it's obviously an execute as well, so... Definitely would have killed Cuz if it was on him. But even if it's on Dudu, just buying the time could have been enough.
No, exactly. And I think that you might even survive if you're able to do that. Never mind. Cuz going to come on over and just take away his chickens very comfortably there, as Peanut's not able to counter jungle that one. Still, Doran does collect a couple of plates, regardless of the misplay towards the top side. And we all know that Doran dying a few times in lane doesn't often really impact the outcome of the game, as there's another hook to connect on to Quantum. Fate's Call to come down as well. The double knockup does come in, and Viper does get the auto attack into the air. Viper respecting Bull's ultimate, because of course that execute damage has been stacked up. Although not that much, because he was the one that died.
Yeah, 102, not a ton.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those moments where you're not checking the stacks as you're fighting. You're not going to risk it.
Yeah.
Try and calculate, hey, would I survive this ult? You just don't give the opportunity. And, you know, part of the issue with this Ashe, into the Blitzcrank, you know, you can harass him. If he hits one grab, you're just dead.
Yep. We saw that. In fact, the Ashe was dead.
Yeah.
Didn't have a whole lot of buttons.
And now flashless as well.
Yeah, that's the really tough part. Bull's actually gone and purchased an opportunity as well, so a little bit more on the lethality ebb.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's builds you can go where you can mix in like lethality and crit.
It was Deft, right, who built just opportunity and then went on hit afterwards on Kalista.
Yeah, I think one of the things that are really strong with the Draven is oh,
okay.
Yep. Trying to do a little back and forth, and Delight's like, you know, I'll just grab you.
And auto is in the air. It was almost a flash that actually worked there for Quantum.
Yeah, as I was saying, like, one of the things with Draven is that, like, his axe, the extra damage from the axe doesn't crit. Like, your auto still crit, but the extra damage doesn't. But obviously, the flat damage just benefits so much from lethality. It's why you'd often see, like, lifesteal builds from Draven. Black when Bloodthirster first was a big thing, because, you know, you still get the additional healing from the damage, even if it doesn't crit. So these lethality builds, I've seen moments where, like, a fed lethality Draven just, like, one auto kills a squishy.
Obviously, or you just, like, kill the entire team with an arbor.
Yeah, don't think we'll get that this game, but there's still time. Just need to see Bull capitalize and hopefully get some kills. They're starting this dragon, and Zek is resetting, but does have TP. Oh,
Doran is able to actually press the R button this time around as Dudu back underneath the turret. I'm not sure about that one. He takes another turret shot and he's able to survive. That was beautifully navigated. Now the team fight is going to break out, but unfortunately, I think that maybe that charm didn't work out. Still not going to matter as Cuz does go down. Zeka is going to absorb the essence and he grabs yet another charge. It is 2 kills in the fight, and despite Doran's best efforts, the flash isn't enough, as Bulldog's also going to be taking down another fantastic charm from Zeka. And Life Esports, they will crush the fight. Even if they don't get the Drake, they'll get so much more.
Man, I feel so bad for Dudu. Gets a 6 solo kill, just looks towards Dragon, it's like, oh god, what is going on?
Yeah, let's have a look at this part. This is the good part for Quantum Freak.
Quantum fans feeling good about this one. You know, baits out the ult. The flash from Doran was very weird. Not sure what he was going for there. I think he was scared of immediate recourse, but Dudu waits for a cooldown to goes in, and now he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
That's what you get for having fun.
Yeah, Doran just called his cousins. He was like, this guy's bullying me.
Yeah, they don't
Peanut's
like that.
alright, I guess I'll come up and kill.
Yeah, and now this fight. So, a lot is committed onto Peanut. Like a lot, and he just flashes out. The charm Jintrop from Zeka is fantastic, and then here, you know, the knock up on a Cuz, he's a Rel who's dismounted, he's so slow, and once you get the initial kill, the resets come in. You know, this was a good grab from Delight, but Bulldog, you flash in a straight line.
Yeah, that hook wasn't going anywhere else.
Yeah, you could have just flashed, like, to the right, and you're completely fine. So, you know, Delight obviously had a good team fight, but I'm kind of putting that one on Bulldog.
Yeah. Didn't quite work out. Often, you know, a Blitzcrank lives or dies by whether those hooks land, and they've been landing.
Yeah,
and
I'm
so
pretty
he's
sure
been eaten well.
There's a direction you could have flashed there where you're just not even in range of the ground.
Yeah. That's what he
way.
tried to do. He tried to outrange it, but unfortunately, there are a few extra links in the chain, I guess.
Yeah. Oh well. So the sort of positive takeaway for the Quantum Freaks here is that
let's half fill this cup.
Let's do it. You have 2 dragons. Your top lane is ahead. And you also actually scale pretty well. All the other games, it felt like Life Esports had so many scaling elements in the bag. If you didn't win early, it's kind of boom. This time, Life Esports were the early driving force. So I think this game is still very playable from this point.
Hook is going to miss. Live or die by the hook. And, I mean, he's not going to die, but it was a miss, so there you go. Another part of the cup half full.
They're kind of flipping the game.
Oh, no, Bull taking so much damage here, he's just taken out. 2 versus 4, and now I guess it's 2 versus 3 as Zeka will get breathed on. Another charm, and there is the hook. I mean, playoff Zeka just hits different, man. He is so incredibly good, playing amazingly today. Cease and desist onto Bulldog. Another charm, of course. That's a targeted ability today. And Hummel will just roll them over. Doran wasn't even there, and he wasn't even necessary.
I retract everything I just said. They just got absolutely decimated, and now the game doesn't look to be in a good spot at all.
The cup has been drained.
It has been completely drained. It is a full empty cup. There's a couple of like dribbles in the bottom. That's what we're working with at the moment. And the question is, you ask, what was so worth it that Quantum Freaks needed to fight from this deficit to try and get the game back? Rift Herald, apparently. And they didn't respect the Banana Brush. You know, they didn't have control of it. The charm comes out from the Fog of War. Draven's dead. Stack's gone.
Watch these charms. Another one.
Yeah. You know, it has been such a good series from Zeka.
You put 5 games into a series and this man is completely changed.
Yeah, you know, finds another one there. Just playing it so well. And Life Esports, with momentum, with its composition, fights are going to feel so smooth, oh.
Well, here's a bit of an engage from Cuz. Finds a Magnet Storm, but it lands only onto Peanut. And he is pretty tanky. Zeka going to have to use his ultimate to get himself out of here.
Just somehow back up already.
Yep, of course. It's just the way that things are. Malignant's doing its job. As I think he may be dead, guys.
He's giving a bull. He has to get a kill.
Yeah, he has to. Oh, he's not going to get it. Dudu didn't even try.
You know, I'm going to say it. He only has like 50 stacks now.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
But it's still just like, imagine you're just playing Killless Draven 2 games of a series.
He didn't even get an assist, dude. It's not that he didn't get a kill. He didn't even get an assist. None of that pie. Oh, God.
Yeah, Bull's really hoping the series is a best of 7. He's like, game, you know, next game, guys, I'm going to pop
Game
off.
4, I got this. I get the 0-3 power spike in the series, baby.
Yeah. Well, at least Dudu is very fed. That is something. And we've seen Aatrox do pretty crazy Aatrox things before. Speaking of Aatrox.
Well, he's going to get hooked. Can they keep him in? Yes, they can. He's dead. Viper going to be able to pick that one up. Foregone conclusion, made sure that he hopped over the wall. That's a lot of extra money.
That might be the only person on Quantum Freaks who's actually worth gold at this point. At least full gold. Take it down there, give it over to Viper. Who I feel like this hasn't been like a
6-0-3.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not been like a game where we've seen Viper like really popping off and thought, oh whoa, look at Viper. But he's got 6 kills, just kind of on the back of. He's the one when someone charms and someone grabs, he's there just putting some spears in them.
Yeah, and there's a lot of reset potential in this game, right? Like there's Zeka picking up the essences, there's Viper getting the Rend back. Like there is a lot of Zeka and Viper just bouncing around these fights and claiming one target after the next. And if these charms continue being magnetized to the opposition, that's just how every one of these fights is going to go. And it's going to be easier and easier as Harmalife Esports win more and more.
Yeah, and Harmalife Esports pick up their first dragon, 6,000 gold lead. It is just not a great spot to be in. And yeah, the added bonus of the Tremor Sense. You know, I don't think they really needed it there, but having the Rek'Sai plus the Blitzcrank is kind of crazy just for how they sync together, you know? You just see the Tremors show up and you just grab in that direction.
It's working. It is absolutely working. It's Quantum, the flanking Ashe, is gonna arrow. Yep. Hook, gonna connect, waits for the crash down, and Cuz can't move out of that one, but still does make it back to relative safety. Speaking of safety, there's a Fate's Call as now Doran diving on top. Bull, Whirling Death not really doing anything here, and Zeka picks up the first reset. The ulti does barely anything as Viper trying to keep himself alive. He's going to survive it. The hook is going to go wide, but it does not matter. No one dead on the side of Harmalife Esports. The Void Rush will spell the end, and there's the flash charm because, of course, it's going to land. The ace comes through. That one's clean, and Harmalife Esports are marching up mid.
Just some fantastic play. The skill shot so on point for Harmalife Esports, and just when you think Dudu is ready to take over, ready to turn the team fight in his favor, Viper outplays, Viper gets away, and Harmalife Esports secure that fight and just land a devastating blow to Quantum Freak's chances in this game, which were already slim.
Yeah, it wasn't looking that much above zero as Quantum starts this one off by missing the hook. Cuz is able to get the crash down to get out, but then they don't have any sort of re-engage opportunity or anything.
Yeah, and look at Doran and Zeka going on the back line, and Quantum and Bull are like, what are we supposed to do against this? And then this moment, Dudu nearly catches Viper. The breath just doesn't reach from Bulldog. The turnaround comes in, and then here, but I think Bull just doesn't even think he's been focused, but Zeka gets the charm flash so well. Zeka's had just such a fantastic series.
He has. Honestly, like,
he's not going to win any, you know, I feel like for me, right now I'm looking at Delight POG. He might go 0 PAGs in the series, but overall could be POG the series because he's had such a fantastic one.
No, I would agree. I do think that he probably deserves it for this one. Just hitting all of the charms that he has. In goes Peanut, finds cease and desist onto Quantum. They'll take him down first. There is more essence just lapped up, and it's a double for Zeka, the man we were just discussing. They'll turn this into a Baron. And then probably a dead Nexus. It's 20 minutes. It's 11,000 gold. Like, the game is really, really over.
You know, I thought Delight was going to left over the wall, but he has Hex Flash. He just Hex Flashes to follow all his team.
Yeah. But turret goes down on the bottom side. Bounty gold. So no longer is it an 11,000 gold lead. It is now back to an 11,000 gold lead.
I'm seeing the issue though. He's using a Christmas skin. It's not Christmas. It's actually Easter.
Is there an Easter skin?
I don't think there is.
Oh, there's the bobblehead Draven, like April Fool's skin, and that's like tomorrow.
Yeah, true.
Not tomorrow, the next day.
That could have been more on point.
Yeah, that would have been the one.
Yeah, maybe this is why they're losing.
Yeah, skin choices, man. They're important. They matter. Well, sometimes you just want to be in the top lane.
Yeah. You know, if their strategy is be as far away from Harmalife Esports as possible, I don't think it's going to work, but I respect it.
I also think that they don't expect them to be here. So if you want to keep Harmalife Esports in the dark as to where you are, also another valid maneuver. If you want to keep your base alive, probably suboptimal. As Delight Hex Flash manages to find the Ashe max range. Now everybody else dives over. That's going to be the knock-up onto Cuz. He's taken down first. Zeka grabs another one, angles the Orb of Deception beautifully. And the whirling death is kind of whirling meh at this point in time. There's the cease and desist onto Bulldog. He was looking to just try and escape this bulldozer that is Hama Life. Double kill for Viper in the end, and this will be the end of the game.
Absolute decimation. It felt like in the first game they were kind of finding their footing, kind of testing the water with Quantum Freaks, and game 3 is an absolute stomp. 0-11-0 for the bot lane of Quantum Freaks. I'm only hoping Quantum gets away. 0-12-0. It has been quite a gap. I mean, a lot of people expected it, but Honor Life Esports are reminding us why they are one of our top teams.
Delight just waiting for that hook to come off cooldown. Cuz is going to get missed by that one. Tries to pull a few in and does manage to get the shutdown onto Zeka. But that is 3-0 for Hama Life Esports here. Unfortunately for Cloud Templar and Pony, they didn't get their one cheeky game from Quantum Freaks this time around. And they will just cleanly end this one. Zeka, absolutely incredible performance.
Zeka, Delight.
Yeah, I mean, the whole team just played really well.
I think Doran had the quietest.
Maybe not.
He didn't play bad, I just think he had a quiet series. But I think everyone else was just really pulling no punches, having a fantastic one. And now have the safety net. Yes, there are hard matchups in round 2, but they're into double a limb. It just kind of takes a lot of weight off your shoulders. Obviously, they had the choice of Quantum Freaks. There's definitely been some, past controversy on choices. This was absolutely the right one for them, and they made it clear that there's a huge gap here for Quantum. You got to feel sad. They didn't show the level of form we've definitely seen early in the season, but I think even if they did, this is a hard matchup. And ultimately, they just struggled to find a pick that worked for Bull. Kaiser Draven, and none of the games did it really feel like he had an impact. Like last game he did like 5k damage. I think game 1 was like 12, 14k. I wouldn't be surprised if game 3 is like a similar like 5k damage.
And we were talking about this off air, but it might be the lowest damage done by an AD carry in a best-of-5 series.
It honestly could be. And again, like I'm not trying to use this just to dunk on Bull. I think they were just struggling to find a pick that worked into a Honor Life Esports. There was so much engage, so much threat. How are we supposed to play these picks, these short-range carries into a Vi, into a Rel, into a Maokai? And the answer is Yuan.
Yeah, you just sort of can't. And the early game style players that we have here have just been heavily nerfed on this patch as well. Like the way that Bull has been known to play the game on the very shallow champion pool that he has just in general was what was targeted, honestly, by what we saw here in 14.6. So a little of what was already a very, very difficult series the Quantum Freaks were looking at here as we're going to check out some of the highlights. We're going to start with a good one as Doran once again was bullied both sides of this matchup. Dudu is just, he's really good, guys.
Yeah, I think that's a takeaway as well for Quantum Freaks fans, is that Dudu and Cuz still looks very good and still opposing those threats we saw early in the season, still showing what they can do at a best of 5. But I think the team play, and particularly the setups for Drakes, I think Honor Life Esports were just sharp. It just felt like they had a much better understanding of both where they wanted to be, where they wanted Vision to be, and to be honest, also how they wanted to play the fight.
I feel like it went past Bulldog and then he flashed into it.
Yeah.
Oh, very sad. Ultimately, I don't think avoiding that particular hook would have saved the game.
Not exactly a game changer. Maybe if they had avoided like 3 or 4 out of these hits, it could have been a bit better, but...
Why do Hama Life Esports get the targeted skill shots and Quantum Freaks don't, though? That's my question.
It's so unfair.
It's pretty rude.
Targeted charm really not balanced.
Yeah. It is actually very, very different, the amount of work an Ahri does when she lands all of her spells, because there's only one of them that auto-targets, so you can look a little bit silly, and Zeka looked completely imbalanced in this particular game.
In this series, honestly, I think he had a bit of a banger, and I know Ahri's one of his picks, but this is definitely a more mage-focused series for him, and he performed really well on them.
Yeah, his Azir, still absolutely fantastic, as we did see, that was part of his set of champions. We can hear Hama Life Esports making those calls. Delight, of course, very, very loud. And look at Zeka's grin, man. Look at Peanut's face. They're just having a really good time today.
Yeah, they're vibing, they're having a good time. Happy to have got the win in the bag. Very secure, no doubt at any point, really. Can now focus on our opponents in the next round.
Yep, maybe we can end. Seeing whether they can tank getting the minions in order. Yeah, they have the wave now, and then just going in. Peanut calling out his own flash to make sure that they can follow up.
Says when he dies.
Yeah. Let's wait. this end.
어 싫어 싫어.
Oh no no!
Oh man, 6.3.
Oh, God.
You know, this game was shorter, so it's not as bad, like, compared to everyone
He
else.
wasn't out damaged by Delight this time.
He wasn't out damaged by Cuz, but I honestly think this could be like the lowest damage for an AD carry in a series in a best of 5 ever. Like, it has not been a good series for Bull, so...
It was a good series for Dudu.
Yeah, you know, it was a great series for Honor Life Esports. That's the takeaway from this one.
That it absolutely was. Also, a good series for the space as well, because that's where we're going to go now before the team interview with Honor Life Esports.
Thank you, casters, for that awesome breakdown of game number 3. There wasn't too much gaming in that game number 3, except for Humble Life Esports, who gamed all over them and ended the game in 23 minutes. A 3-0 here for Humble Life Esports. Not much to see by the end of the series.
Really feels like a classic, like, first round of playoffs where we just look at it and go game 1, okay, it's actually pretty competitive, and in game 2 you're like, maybe, and then game 3 they just get absolutely run over. The difference between these two teams, I think, is really apparent. I think Bulldog had a pretty sharp drop-off, but I think the bot lane problems for Guangdong was something we already saw in the regular split. And they're going up against Delight and Viper, so they just don't get to do a whole lot. I think the drafts here are like... Does it matter, really? Like, obviously they have an aggressive early bot lane, which means that the Ashe Draven lane, if you do make one mistake, which they did, you lose.
Yeah, I mean, I still like a game. Like, I'm gonna just echoing what I said. I think it's still like really fine. It's like really enjoyable to watch. Like what actually Guangdong Freaks offered to us like today, like whole series, like which is going really aggressive, playing in all the game and try their best. Because like it's 100% I do agree. Like if they get behind against like Hana Life, which is they are facing upper team. So as an underdog spot, like they have to win all the game, and it's like kind of hope for the best after the middle game, right? It's just like the macro, like hopefully enemy team kind of make a mistake, and also if they get a Drake Soul somehow, it's the chances of winning the game, at least taking the game, is like goes a lot higher. So today's, I think it was a really still, I think really fair enough for what Guangdong Freaks to prepare for.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously came very prepared, right? They had some strategies. They had some interesting picks to bring in. It was their flavor as well. We saw twice in a row the Aurelion Soul and the Draven. It just didn't quite pan out. And honestly, guys, when it is 3rd place against 6th place in spring as well, where we do have a pretty big gap, I'm not too surprised to see the 3-0. But let's talk about this game. We did have some gaming, as Dudu had a wonderful time in the top lane, but that was about it for Guangdong Freaks. And after this highlight, it all goes downhill.
Actually really cool that Dudu is giving everyone a showcase of what it feels like to be a top laner. While you get the solo, solo bolo in top. In bot side we have a disaster. I think even Cuz having an uncharacteristically weak game in this one. They're so ready for the engage, and then the extension of the fights, as the casters mentioned, is absolutely ludicrous. And the ending of this one, as a Bulldog enjoyer, this one hurts.
Cover your eyes.
I actually, while I was watching this, I actually screamed in here. Like, I was like,
he did.
No!
He's falling to his knees.
True.
But the thing is, like, it's just like from this highlight, we can actually see like so much different. They're different things. Like the HLE every single time when they actually are hitting the objective, they are so ready. The plans are so clear. But instead, like when we see about the Guangdong Freaks, like when they're hitting the objective, it just gets so nervous. Like I was sweating. Like, oh, I know, like this is like not. I knew it's coming, but like I feel just so bad.
It's Quantum getting pulled in as well, because I obviously they had a really bad performance, right? But like Bull's first LCK playoffs, Bulldog's first LCK playoffs. I think it was even Dudu's, although I'm not 100% sure on that. But I remember hearing some. But for the bot side, this is the first time, and I think it was very obvious. I think that I would never expect this to be a close matchup, but they really underperformed here today. And in this final game, it was by far the most obvious.
Yeah, it was pretty rough, and we are going to top off it with the last team fight that truly mattered in this game, where I call it a team fight. It's mostly just a 2v4, as Atlas was talking about it during the game. There's no vision. You can't step in range of that bush because there's an Ahri, there's Vi, and he's dead.
It's dark. Like you just can't see. Like why? I just don't understand why he's actually leaning just like wrong side of the map.
I thought you meant it's like it's a dark, sad movie.
That too.
I mean that too as well. But the thing is like it's already like it's just like this is like exactly what I said, right? Like they are hitting the lifter first. They are trying to make a proactive play, but they just don't know what to do. They're just like, oh, we just don't have a plan. Let's just hit it and let's see what happened. Like that's how I feel today. So I feel kind of bad, but it is what it is.
Humble Life Esports, they're a great team. I don't think Quantum Freaks were really too much of a match for them today. We did see some fun stuff early on in the laning phases of all three games. Well, maybe not game 3, but it is what it is. Humble Life Esports with the victory. Let's see who does pick up the POG for game number 3, as it will be Delight 0, 0, and 20 in this game.
Yeah, Delight having an amazing Blitzcrank performance. Blitzcrank has been something that he has gone back to many times. Standout performance, really. Blitzcrank always comes down to do you hit your hooks or not, and he did a lot. So they won the game off of the back of it, particularly against the bot lane with double AD carry. If you don't hit those hooks, the game becomes basically unplayable. And instead, it was kind of the opposite for the Kwangdong bot lane.
Which is like,
oh boy.
Oh, again, another one.
Don't make Huni scream again.
But like, yeah, I mean, I think it's like Delight really has a strong performances in this clip, and it's just like every single time when he actually can move the map, I think he actually impact way more the map. That's how I feel.
Jonah Strong with the jungle vote. I'm not sure how we feel about that. For me, it was like, okay, it's probably Delight or it's probably Zeka. It's one of those two. The Vi press R sometimes. I mean, Peanut did do a lot of shot calling. Let's talk about the predictions here for this match. Almost everybody went 3-0. We did have a couple of 3-1 Andes, Pony, and Cloud Templar, just believing in the chance for Quantum Freaks to take just the one game. And they kind of got close in game 1, honestly. They did kind of throw a 5,000, 6,000 gold lead. And at the end of the day, we all believed in Humble Life Esports, mostly.
If there was like 2 free ones, you kind of know what the state of a match is going.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of scared to game 1.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a chance for an upset, but did not happen this time. And so we do have Humble Life Esports with the interview ready. I'm going to hand it over to Ji-sun for the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Ji-sun for the post-match interview translation with Hana Life Esports after their clean 2-0 victory up against Kwangdong Freaks. Congratulations, guys. First off, Doran, with this win, you made it to the second round of playoffs. How do you feel? Today, I had a very rough match. It was a very tough fight for me, but still, you know, we got a clean 3-0. So, yeah, a win is a win, and we still have a lot of more matches to play. So I'm so happy that we pulled this off together. And Kwangdong Freaks today decided to put Rek'Sai in the top lane for 2 games in a row. What's your thought on this pick? Yeah, it has become a trend recently. I think this is a pretty good blind pick champion for the top lane. Not too bad. And then Doran, you played Rek'Sai in game 3. How was it? So I kind of realized Dudu plays a lot of Rek'Sai top. So I kind of took it in game 3, and yeah, everyone knows what happened in that game. Now, round 2 of playoffs, you will face either Genji or T1. What are your gut feelings telling you? Well, I think in the end, we'll get to play both teams throughout the playoffs run. But probably T1. Yeah, I'm feeling T1 right now. We gotta prepare really hard. How are we gonna prepare for that then? With our best effort. Next up is Peanut. You won POG on Maokai in game 1. Maokai was a very effective pick for your blind pick champion in game 1 and 2. I mean, I feel like I have always blind picked Maokai throughout the regular season, and recently with the jungle patch, it got a little bit of a buff, so I think it's a very decent pick right now. This was the first match with the new 14.6 patch. What did you focus on with the drafting? I was expecting a lot more Maokai bans, but somehow I got to play 2 games of Maokai, so something unexpected. And Sejuani is also one of the comfort picks for Cuz as well, so we decided to get rid of that in Game 3. What do you think that matters the most in a best of 5 series? Of course, you know, gameplay and performance, but also conditions and also luck affect a lot to the result as well. So I think you really have a very strong mindset and very strong mentality to have a clean round throughout the best of 5 series. I will make sure to keep displaying the best performance possible in order to go as far as we can throughout the playoffs. Zeka, Hana Life Esports, has broken the record by ending on a higher standings than last summer season. What does that mean to you? I mean, it feels amazing, but still, you know, we still have a long way to go. So I hope we can, you know, keep this kind of good momentum and keep making new history for the organization. Game 1 and 2, we had a bit of a stick comp for the top side on the side of Kwangdong Freaks, Rek'Sai and Sejuani. I guess they were focusing on the top side a lot. What did you focus on your end? Because it's a best of 5 format, you know, we were pretty aware that there are a lot of things to kind of think of and watch out for, but in the end, it kind of went as we kind of predicted, so it was not a very difficult run for us. Then what is your resolution for the rest of the playoffs and round 2? We're gonna play up against either Genji or T1. I think we really gotta win that series and make it to the finals. We will do our best. Next up, Viper. Congratulations on the win. How do you feel?
3대 0으로 이겨서 되게 좋은 것 같고 오늘
Well, 3-0 always feels great.
컨디션이
But today, and also I was feeling pretty good. I was in a really good condition today, so yeah, I'm happy. Well, there was a lot of target bans towards the AD carry role, but you got to play Zeri for both game 1 and 2. Do you think the game went as you kind of expected?
오늘 상대한 광동 프릭스 상대로 했을 때
Zeri is a pick that we thought Kwangdong will have the hardest time dealing with. So we decided to play as many Zeri games as possible, and it turned out well. Viper, I think this spring season you were able to kind of solidify your position as an AD carry in the LCK. You ended up being on the All-Pro second team. What is your goal for the rest of the year? I mean, doing well throughout the regular season is of course important, but it actually means more to do better at playoffs, so I will keep focusing on until the end of the playoffs. Lastly, Delight. Your performance on RAL was amazing. You are undefeated on RAL so far this season and got POD 3 times. Any thoughts on RAL pick? I feel like Rao is definitely one of my comfort picks and my best picks. So yeah, whenever I get to play Rao, I have a great performance. And then game 3, you played Blitz and you were landing your hooks every single time. Well, I was trying to go for the Camille support, but it was banned, so I decided to play Blitz. Because this can actually add so much pressure to the double AD carry bottom duo. Now you guys are gonna be playing up against either Genji or T1. Is there any preference about your potential opponent? I kind of want to play up against Genji and get a revenge, maybe. Delight, I think you leveled up so much throughout the season, especially this spring. So what kind of performance do you want to show in round 2? I will keep working hard and do my best in order to play even better in the upcoming playoffs round 2. Back to Peanut as the team's captain. Anything you want to say your potential opponent? Any message over to them?
저희 서로 돕고 삽시다. 네.
Let's help each other out, okay? Let's have a good one together. And that's the end of the interview from the Hana Life Esports players after their first playoffs match, and back to the space. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji-sun, as always, for that awesome translation. As, yeah, Hana Life Esports with the big victory today. A 3-0, 3 games in a row. Not much to see here. Game 1 was pretty interesting. Quantum Freaks got a lead, got a pretty significant lead, but were not able to end it. And perhaps that was the mental nail in the coffin for the series.
This is just warm-up for the absolute shenanigans that are about to take place tomorrow. Because in case you didn't remember, all of us went for a 3-0 here. All of us, I think, unanimously predicted KT for tomorrow, which can only mean I don't know what it means. I don't know what to expect. I think that series is going to be absolutely hilarious. Most likely also that series decides who Gen G is going to play up against, although maybe they'll avoid DK, given that DK and Gen G, it's always close.
We'll see how it goes. It's gonna be obviously depends on what happens tomorrow, so just has to be eyes on the tomorrow what's gonna happen.
You guys won't want to miss tomorrow. Today was a very fast one, a very not close series, but tomorrow should be an absolute banger. So make sure not to miss it. We'll be here once again at 3 p.m. and we'll see you then. Have a good night.
잘 살려서 다시 우승할 수 있게끔 이끌어 보도록 하겠습니다.
쇼메이커 플레이메이킹 메이커 루시드 쇼메이커 아래 디플러스기야 이런 초령